Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed!
Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Good morning.
I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yeah, stop it.
I can't find the thing, man. Where's my thing?
What you mean? You're
My thing.
You're as
Why is my thing
friend
gone?
Odie from Ireland would call a spoffle.
A spoffle?
Yeah, that's what he calls it. Spoffle.
I call it a mic condom. I don't know where it is. Somebody moved it. I don't know why.
Why didn't you take it in the office with you?
I've literally never done that. Literally every day. It stays here.
Did you take it into the production room?
No.
You don't do that either?
No, it stays in here every day. Every day, 5 years, every day. I finish the show.
Here's
the mic condom stays on the mic. If you want it off, move it.
Here's what you should do. You should call Diesel and ask him what he did with it.
I'm gonna call him at 6 o'clock in the
Call,
morning. Hey!
You should call him right now. You absolutely should call him right now and ask him why he moved your stuff.
I'm not going to do that. He'll beat me up. But the point is,
it would take him a while to get here.
I am awake. He wouldn't be used to being up this early. The point is, why? And if you're going to move it, which, yeah, okay, move it. You use the mic. I get it. If you're going to move it, why would you move it somewhere that it's not like, hey, it turns out I know that Rob's going to be back to do a show again tomorrow morning. I know where he sits. I know where he's going to be. I even know what time of day he's going to be up in her. What? Hi, everybody.
Maybe he thought he would teach you a lesson. I mean, that's what he did.
Well, you waited too long. It's been 5 years. I'm a grumpy old man now. I'm set in my ways. I refuse to change for you whippersnappers out there. If you wanted to teach me a lesson, you're going to have to do it like a Clint Eastwood movie and have some big emotional, sentimental montage that convinces me that I'm stodgy.
You're missing the point.
No, I'm ignoring your point.
No. Diesel's older than you. You're the whippersnapper, and he's trying to teach you a lesson.
Well, then, Grandpa, stop being stuck in your ways. Grow up. It's 2025. Don't touch other people's mic condoms. And where is it?
I don't know.
All right, well, all of you get to listen to me hiss my S's and pop my P's for the next segment until I find it.
Or until Chris gets here and you can get yet another one.
I wouldn't have to if people wouldn't touch my stuff. Good morning, United States of America. It is Tuesday morning of football week in these great United States. We had football last night. Can I keep it a buck with you? I got so jacked up about college football yesterday, starting up this Saturday, that I forgot we had a Monday Night Football game last night. And not just had one, but had one that involved my two favorite quarterbacks in the National Football League, even if Jaden Daniels didn't throw a single football.
First half was pretty fun, actually. The running games, it's like, okay, do either one of these teams have defenses that can stop the run?
Commanders ran the ball 30 times last night.
That was, I mean, they were long runs, too. I mean, a couple of those, it's like, oh.
Key takeaway from that game, either one of these teams loses their starting quarterback, they are absolutely and entirely bleeped top to bottom. Either one of these quarterbacks goes down, they're screwed.
Jake Browning guy.
Either one of these two quarterbacks goes down, Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow. These two teams are immediately disqualified from the playoffs. I already think the Bengals are, to be honest with you, as we also found out yesterday that Trey Hendrickson is not backing up off of his new contract demands. He still wants that guaranteed straight cash, homie, and told Laura Rutledge as much yesterday. Said, look, I want what I want. I'm not backing off of that. If they decide that they want to trade me, they can trade me. But I'm just because they have put out there that they are looking for a trade partner doesn't mean that I'm going to not want what I want anymore. And like it's gotten ugly at this point. It's just bad. I don't know what to tell you. So we're going to talk quite a bit of football today on the show. We'll get some NFL in here. I will tell you that it is preseason prediction projection and prognostication time across the landscape of collegiate football. Coming up today on the show, and they will be scattered throughout the show. We are going to make our preseason predictions, projections, and prognostications for winners of divisions. Scratch that. Conferences. I forgot we're talking college football. Conference winners. We're going to start working on filling out our playoff bracket, who we believe shall be in and who we believe shall be out in college football. We are going to do one of the 4 big conferences per hour, the end segment of every hour today, the 6, 7, 8, and 9 o'clock hours. All of them will end with a conversation about and a selection of a conference champion for the 4 major conferences, the B1G, the SEC, the ACC, and the B1-2. We are going to pick our 4 conference champions, and therefore the 4 teams that we expect will get the bye in the college football playoffs. Most likely, not a guarantee, but teams most likely by way of being conference champions, as we are likely going to select the team we think will be the best team in each conference over the course of the show today. We will do the Big 12. We will do the Big 10 in hour number 1. At the end of this hour, we'll select our Big 10. I'll select my Big 10 champ. I suspect the conversation probably not going to be quite as extensive for the great one. I think he's got a lean. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, I figured I was. It happens sometimes. So we'll do the B1G.
I'm gonna go with the nation and go Penn State. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Sarcasm.
Yeah, no, we know. I am struggling with that one, to be honest, because I do not know if...
Can't wait to hear if you believe in James Franklin or not.
I'm struggling right now because on one hand, I made the point after ACC Media Days, and I've said this not just on our show, but I've said it on my Saturday show. I have said it on BetMGM tonight, which I'll be on tonight, by the way, at 9 o'clock, talking a little college football. I've said it on BetMGM tonight. I've said it on the show belonging to the sports machine, Sean Levine. I've said it on Jake Hassan's pod and show on 610 The Score in Chicago, Illinois. I've said it on the radio in Atlanta. The conversation about Penn State is different this year than it has been any other year. The last couple of years, this is the point where the narrative is the narrative. Why would anybody pick Pennsylvania State University to win the Big Ten when they are, last I checked, still coached by Big Game James? And this would be the point of the year where people would start picking Penn State predominantly as a way to drive conversation, right? In years gone by, it's been if you pick Penn State, you pick Penn State so that you get callers and texters and tweeters and DMers reaching out to your show and calling you a big, stupid football dummy for falling for the propaganda by Pennsylvania State University one more time again. It doesn't feel like that's the case this year, man. Like, there's a lot of folks, including, I watched his prediction show last night, Josh Pate. I like Josh Pate a lot. I met Josh Pate face-to-face finally at SEC Media Days. And I like Josh Pate a lot. He's on the Penn State wagon this year, right? And he much like myself, is very don't fall for the narrative guy, or go against the narrative if you think the narrative is wrong guy. And I respect all of that. So with all of that being said, I don't know if the conversation about Penn State being different this year, with guys like Josh Pate being on board, with guys like Ryan Horvat being on board. Horvy's on the Penn State wagon this year. A lot of dudes that I have a lot of respect for in this game are falling for it. Or is this a breakout year? We're going to talk about that at the end of this hour, because in hour numero uno, we make our selection for the Big Ten Conference champion, the Big Ten runner-up, and we will do some over-under win-loss totals for the teams in that conference to set up for that. At the final segment of the second hour, the next hour, the 7 o'clock hour, we will do the Southeastern Conference. It gets the crown jewel slot of the show because, Lonzo, and you may or may not know this, it just means more.
I've heard that somewhere. Seems like Ashley Judd said that.
Shout out Ashley Judd, by the way. So we'll do the SEC to wrap up hour number 2. We'll do the ACC at the conclusion of hour number 3 at 8:40. We'll do the ACC, and then we will end the show with the B12, the Big 12. I have one question for, well, I have a lot of questions for you all today. I was going to say I have one question for you today because that's kind of what you do in radio. I got one burning question for you today. No, I got multiple questions for you today. But one of the questions that I got for you today is ACC Big 12. Do either or both get just one team in? Do either or both get just 2 teams in? Do either or both get more than 2 teams in this year? I've been saying for a minute, I do think the ACC is getting 3 teams in the playoffs this year. I think there are 3. But I've also pointed out, I think the SEC might get 6. I think they are getting 5. I think 5 is a lock for me. If it's over under number of teams from a conference in the playoffs, if you set it at 4.5, I'm taking over for the SEC and under for everybody else. If you set it at 5.5, if you give me a solid plus money bet, I would take the over for the Southeastern Conference. Definitely not for anybody else. But as I was listening to some preseason prognostications from a number of different folks last night, getting ready to do ours this AM, I already said on BetMGM tonight, I think the Big 12's getting 1 team. They might get 2. I think 2's on the table. I also think it's very possible they do not get 2. But I think 2's on the table. I do not think there's a chance the Big 12, is getting more than 2 teams in. I also believe the ACC's getting 3. So if I've got 5 from the SEC, I'm taking 3 from the ACC, there's 8. We're at 8 already. I've still got my Big 12 champ. There's 9. I got my Big 10 champ. There's 10. I got my Big 12 runner-up. There's 11, and group of 5. So that means if there really are going to be 5 from the SEC, I think there might be room for just 1 from the Big 12. And then the question is, does the B1G have a 3rd team outside of their conference championship game, who does not play on conference championship game weekend, who's got enough notoriety, enough of a resume, whatever you want to line it up as, to get a 4th team in? I don't know. But I was sitting last night trying to figure out, because I feel good about the ACC getting 3 in this year, because I think there will be 1 team who is maybe 10-2, but misses the conference championship game. And the 2 teams that make it go on, put on a show. So whether that's Miami, whether that's SMU, whether that's Louisville or anybody else, I don't know yet. But I think there's a good chance the ACC has 3. The problem is, to put a third ACC team in, I've got to take one off the table from somebody else. And I think it might be the Big 12. I think the Big 12 is going to be down enough this year that there's not going to be a lot of resume building opportunity for whatever team does not make the championship game there. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. We're going to talk about the bracket setup, how these different conferences can get certain amounts of teams in. But in order to facilitate that conversation, we have got to have a selection of conference champions. So here's what we gonna do. The first segment of every hour, obviously we just finished this one. The first segment of hour number 2 is the water cooler cheat sheet. If I say it one more time, I'm getting dangerously close to get myself in trouble.
Please stop.
Water cooler cheat sheet to start the next hour. Audio blitz to start the 8 o'clock hour. In the beginning of the 9 o'clock hour, that's going to be a segment where we're just going to run around a bunch of stories, because I realized yesterday at the conclusion of yesterday's show, which was football heavy, and shocker, today's will be too, that there were a lot of stories.
You know why?
Because it's football week in America.
Yeah, there we go.
A lot of little stories from a lot of sports we did not get to yesterday. So here's the format for the show. It's rigid today. That's unusual. I'm like Oppo Tom Jones. No, I'm not. I'm regular Tom Jones. It's not unusual. Okay. We got the top of every hour.
So rigid and then Tom Jones. That's okay.
It's not unusual to me. No. All right. Top of every hour booked up. So when we come back in a minute, I know it's a weird spot to put baseball. Shut up. That's what I'm doing. Because Rob Manfred went on television during the MLB Little League Classic on Sunday, and he said something that I think is going to, and I mean this, change the entire structure of Major League Baseball. And some of you old hats are going to get real cranky about it. So we'll talk about that in the next segment. Then, to end this hour, Lonzo and I go on the record with our Big Ten champ. Then we have our water cooler cheat sheet. Then in the second segment of hour number 2, I got some NFL stories I want to get to. Final segment of hour number 2, we select our SEC winner. Then hour number 3, audio blitz. Second segment of that, another sports story. We wrap the third hour with our ACC champ. And then we wrap up the show with our Big 12 champ. All that coming up this morning on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search
The Fan.
Upstate.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolinas' most trusted forecast on The Fan Upstate. Thanks, guys.
Fan Upstate.
I'm going to get to a baseball story because this baseball story, and I mean it when I say this, may be one of the most consequential baseball stories that we ever talk about. Rob Manfred was on the Sunday night broadcast of the Major League Baseball Little League Classic. Now, the Little League Classic is a game they play every year where they invite the teams from the Little League World Series to come out, get up close and personal with the players. It's a very cool thing. And they brought out the commish during the broadcast. And Rob Manfred said a couple of things that I am very genuine when I tell you are not just consequential, but I genuinely think will change what Major League Baseball is and looks like in the future. Let's start with this one. Rob Manfred said that MLB is currently negotiating their future television contracts.
Well, I'm glad you're sitting here. I'm glad we can continue the relationship we have. The elephant in the room has been reported about the future of the television contracts. Where are you on that?
Look, we're having very detailed conversations with a number of parties, including ESPN, and we hope to have it resolved in the next couple of weeks. It's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle we're trying to put together, but we will have it resolved in the next few weeks.
Okay, so we know that. They're talking with Apple. They're talking with ESPN. They're probably talking with Prime. They're probably talking with, who knows? Now, Rob Manfred has said a couple of times that one of the things in these negotiations that baseball is trying to do is to, while making as much money as possible, that's true about every decision, is to try to consolidate the product. That is to say, somebody did the math yesterday. If you want to, for instance, be able to watch every WWE event once they make their jump full-time over to the ESPN app, you will be coming off of north of $1,200 a year. $1,200 to be able to watch every WWE event. Rob Manfred has said a number of times, he doesn't want that for baseball. He does not want to live in a world where baseball fans have to spend tens of thousands of dollars because you got to have Amazon and you got to have Apple and you got to have this and you got to have ESPN and you got to have that. He wants to consolidate. I do not think it is going to be complete and total consolidation where one network has every game. Obviously, that's not the case, as the NLCS, the ALCS, they have different networks. The World Series alternates networks, etc. But I hope there is some consolidation. That, however, is not what was said that was impactful. What was said that was impactful by Rob Manfred is this.
So how about a window into the future? Expansion, realignment, expanded playoffs. I mean, Can you see that down the road?
I can. I think the first two topics are related in my mind. I think if we expand, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for, entities like ESPN, because you'd be playing up out of the East, out of the West, and that 10 o'clock time slot where we, sometimes get Boston, Anaheim, would be two West Coast teams. And that 10 o'clock slot that's a problem for us sometimes becomes a real opportunity for our West Coast audience. So I think, I think the owners realize that there's demand for Major League Baseball in a lot of great cities, and that we have an opportunity to do something good around that expansion process.
Rob Manfred says expansion is absolutely on the table. Now, that's not really a shock, because while we do know that we are inching ever closer towards either a lockout or a holdout next year, and we are at a point now where there are some people, including, by the way, Jeff Passan, who believe we may be past the point of no return for a lockout/holdout next year that is deep enough. Major League Baseball may not have a season next year. That's how bad they think the collective bargaining discussion's going right now. I think a lot of that is going to be determined by what the television negotiations end up being and what money MLB brings to the table and how they decide to partner to distribute that with the MLBPA. But we'll put that aside and come back. The impactful part about that was Rob Manfred saying with expansion, which is going to happen, and I will tell you right now, you're going to end up with another team in the Southeast. The popular thought is that it's going to be Nashville, Tennessee, but there are some folks that believe that Charlotte, North Carolina could end up with a Major League Baseball team. I don't know. I think it's Nashville, whatever. Not the point. Rob Manfred said that with expansion, obviously will come realignment. The belief is MLB will end up adding 2 teams. That will bring them to, like the NFL, 32. That opens you up for the opportunity to have 8 divisions, 4 teams, just like the MLB does. That isn't even the truly impactful thing. It is to some degree impactful because the 6 divisions of 5 teams that we currently have would go away, which means that some divisional rivalries would be split up. The impactful thing was Rob Manfred mentioning the words geographical realignment. And the belief by a lot of people is that instead of having the traditional maps, instead what you would have would be, depending on where the new teams are, you would have divisions that are based on where they are in the country. So, for instance, you might end up with a division that contains the LA Dodgers, the LA Angels, the San Diego Padres, and the Arizona Diamondbacks, all 4 teams that are in the southwest of the country. You may end up with a division that contains the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, and the Philadelphia Phillies, the 4 most northeastern teams in the United States. I would suspect you end up with a division that contains the Atlanta Braves, the Tampa Rays, the Miami Marlins, and likely the Nashville whatever they are, because those are the 4 most southeastern teams in the United States. Here's what I do know. The American League and National League, as you know it, will go away. And that is not to say there will not be an American League and a National League. That is to say, as you know them, they will not be there. There will be some teams that cross over. Whether it is the Yankees going to the National League to join the Red Sox and the Red Sox going over to join the Phillies and the Mets to make a northeastern division of whatever the new league is, or maybe it's the Braves that go from the NL over to the AL along with whatever team comes out of Nashville and Miami to meet Tampa. I don't know. I heard somebody yesterday say, well, you'll end up doing away with the NL and the AL. I mean, as you know it, that absolutely will happen. As you know it, yes, you will, because teams will have to flop. However, I'm good with that. As much as I am, and baseball is kind of different for me from the other sports, because there is some level of love of the history and the tradition of Major League Baseball. However, I kind of like geographical realignment. I kind of like having teams predominantly play each other that are from the same side of the country. I kind of like not having to worry about. Keep in mind, Major League Baseball did add balanced scheduling not too long ago. Everybody plays everybody. The Braves will still go on a West Coast swing where they go out and they play the Dodgers and the Angels and the Padres. But it also means that more often than not, especially if, and I think this would be a good idea after realignment, Major League Baseball says we are going to have competitive scheduling where everybody plays everybody, but we're going to shorten that up a little bit, and we are going to instead focus a lot on divisional rivalries. That would be fantastic because now, as Rob Manfred pointed out, the East Coast teams play the East Coast teams predominantly in their prime time. The West Coast teams play the West Coast teams predominantly in their timeline. And now all of a sudden, 10 o'clock p.m. games are usually being played by teams that are kicking those games off at 7 o'clock in their time zone, not 10 o'clock in ours. I think that this is likely to become a reality. Bringing 2 more teams into the league is, as we have said about college football's playoff expansion, an inevitability. It's going to happen. Because I missed the tactical quiet button.
And not very tactical.
Yeah, I blew it. Sometimes you fail the mission, you know?
Yeah, I hate when that happens and everyone notices.
If only I hadn't said anything about it. So it's going to happen because there's money on the table from big names out there who want to have an MLB team in their city and are willing to pay Major League Baseball a lot of money for it. And on top of that, none of you are going to stop watching baseball because there's 2 more teams. It also opens them up to have more divisions. More divisions means what? More playoff teams. It allows you to expand the playoffs, but to do so in a natural way. The wild card expansion of Major League Baseball a few years ago, it felt like it was forced, right? By adding another wild card team to the equation. It felt like it was forced expansion for the sake of expansion. If you go to 8 divisions of 4 teams, you open up more spots. You basically end up, I would think, with either the same or a similar structure to the NFL. I would like to see them go to the old NFL playoff structure. That is to say, I would like to see them have 4 divisional winners. I would like to see them have 2 wild card. The lower 2 divisional winners play the 2 wild card teams. The top 2 divisional winners catch a bye. They all meet up in round number 2. But I could also see them going with the current NFL model. The number 1 overall seed in each, whatever the divisions are named, get themselves a bye. You have 3 wildcard teams to match up with the 3 non-number 1 overall seed divisional winners in the opening round. And then we match it up moving into the next round. I don't know how it's going to work out. What I do know is, however it works out, whether it is the old NFL model or the new one or something completely different. What I do know is, if we get geographical alignment, how great would a Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Phillies division be? I think it'd be great. There are going to be some teams that this is going to hurt. I honestly think the Atlanta Braves probably lose the 2 teams that they love to hate. I do not think the Bravos end up in a division with the Mets and the Phillies anymore. Those would become just some teams that you play a couple of times in the regular season and maybe in the postseason. You lose those rivalries. And I don't want those rivalries to go away. But I also understand that if we are going to add 2 more teams, the only way it's going to work is by changing the divisional structure. And if it creates a world where the Braves end up in a division with the closest 3 other teams in baseball, and the majority of their games are played in the Southeast, if the Phillies, Yankees, Mets, and Red Sox end up in a division and they are constantly all playing each other in the Northeast, I think you're going to get the best baseball. Instead of asking them to fly all over the country to go play, you would end up with a division that contains, likely, the Twins, the Brewers, the Sox, and the Cubs. How great would it be to have the Cubs and the Sox playing 12 games a year in each other's city? Toronto, Detroit, Cleveland, Cincinnati, St. Louis, Kansas City, Colorado, Minnesota. This could be fun. But it is going to get rid of the AL and NL as you know it. And however it shapes up, just know that baseball as you know it is dead. It's already dead. Now it's just a matter of figuring out what it looks like in the future. When we come back, time for Lonzo and I to go on the record. We pick our Big Ten champ runner-up, and some win total over-unders next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg,
And on the Odyssey app.
Ready for the day.
on the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, talking college football all week because you may or may not know this, but week 0 is here. We get football started this Saturday at noon. Iowa State, Kansas State over in Dublin, Ireland, as we get the college football season underway in earnest, kids. So today on the radio program, we are picking our conference champions. I would like you to do the same. Let's begin with this. 844-326-3663. Big Ten champ and runner-up. Who you got? Let's put you on the record. Big Ten champ and runner-up. Who is yours? Text them throughout this segment, and we will keep the poll running and check in with you, the Armada. That being said, great one. Ohio State.
Well, Julian Saline has been named officially named the starter barely, according to the report. Just barely eked out his competition. I don't believe the Penn State hype. The only way that the Penn State hype is real is that the defensive coordinator who went there from Ohio State is able to do the same thing with Penn State and is able to counter Ohio State. So I've got Ohio State number one. I've got Penn State as the runner-up. Also, Ohio State not only lost their defensive coordinator, they lost their offensive coordinator. So, I mean, they're not just replacing a quarterback, they're replacing their coordinators. Offensive coordinator doesn't bother me nearly as much because Ryan Day can jump in there and do whatever he needs to do. Although, I think the offensive coordinator is actually Matt Patricia.
That is correct.
Yeah, so I don't know if I have confidence in Matt Patricia, but I do in Ryan Day. So I got to go Ohio State.
You're not going to go wrong with Ohio State. You got Jeremiah Smith back, and however you feel about Julian saying the old bleep it, Jeremiah's down there somewhere offense is very much in play. You also bring up the fact that you are looking at a run game that is expected to be very good for the Buckeyes this year. There are some question marks. You do have James Peoples, who is going to be getting his first run at it as a sophomore as RB1. You also brought the kid over, C.J. Donaldson from West Virginia, 30 touchdowns over the past 3 seasons, averaged about 700 yards a season for the Mountaineers. Not anybody that's going to blow you out of the water with the transfer, but a pretty consistent player as RB2. Good running back game there for Ohio State. Here's why I think I'm tempting myself with Penn State. I think I'm tempting myself with Penn State because I think Penn State's run game this year, not Drew Aller, I think the run game for Penn State has the potential to be inside of the top in the country. Nick Singleton comes back. You've seen what this cat can do. He's very, very good out of the backfield. You did add some pretty talented wide receivers. Kyron Hudson is going to be the one that is going to get the most grabs, I think. He comes over from USC. You also brought Trevor Pena over from Syracuse. Those guys combined last year, 198 passes, 2,446 receiving yards, 23 touchdowns between the two. But there's one more name that I'm very interested in, and that's the new Penn State offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki. I don't know a ton about Andy Kotelnicki. What I do know is Ryan Horvat does, and he sold me on this dude being the dude. Kotelnicki has said a couple of times that there will be a change in direction in the Penn State offense this year. And a lot of people assumed that that meant that with the experience of Drew Aller, they were going to become a run and gun. They were going to become a 5-wide open, spray and pray, throw the ball all over the field. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think, in fact, it might be quite the opposite. I think behind a very good, very large offensive line, I think behind a very good run game led by Nick Singleton, I think the goal is to be what Michigan was 2 years ago when they won the national championship. We have talked about, obviously, J.J. McCarthy. But if you watched that Michigan team for more than, 7 to 9 snaps, it became very obvious that the offense was Blake Corum, and then every now and then J.J. McCarthy will throw the ball. I think that's Penn State this year. I think the offense for Penn State is going to be very much Nick Singleton, and occasionally Drew Aller throws the football. And that's really going to kind of be it. I don't think you have to ask a lot out of him, Drew Aller. Now, Drew Aller is expected to be, or at least optimistically speaking, there's a lot of people that are saying Drew Aller is a guy that they think could very well end up being one of the first quarterbacks off the board in the draft next year. I'm not there yet, to be honest with you. And that is why I think that behind what might be Penn State's best offensive line, maybe ever, I think they're a run-the-ball kind of team. And while obviously the last couple of years, Ohio State has been linebacker U, or at least in that mix, I think it is also important to point out that there are 0 returning defensive line starters for the Buckeyes this year. There is only one linebacker coming back as a starter this year, Sonny Styles, and there are 2 defensive backs coming back, but this is a defense that runs a nickel as the base in Ohio State. I am going to select for the 2025 Big Ten, I'm going to take Penn State. I'm going to fall for the narrative. And I'm going to fall for the narrative for one reason and one reason alone. I think they're a matchup nightmare for Ohio State. Now, I'm a big Ducks guy over here. I think Dan Lanning is going to, over the next 2 years, likely prove to a lot of you that he may very well be the best coach in college football that is never in the conversation for best coach in college football. I think Dan Lanning knows how to get more out of his guys than most coaches know how to get out of their guys. Here's the issue. I really like Dante Moore. I am buying in on the hype for Dante Moore. That being said, Dante Moore's a sophomore with, I think, 8 passing attempts of experience to lean on. I like Dante Moore. I bought into the hype. There's just not a lot of XP. The Oregon offense has 2 starters back. Wide receiver Evan Stewart and Iapani Lulu, a center. That's it. That's all the experience. I do think that there is a line that gets crossed where I go, even if your head coach is a dude, and I think Dan Lanning is a dude, there's some spots that I worry about with Oregon with very little experience. Now, the schedule shakes out pretty well for them, with the exception of Oregon State at home, on the road at Penn State, Indiana back at home. That's their season. That being said, I'm going to go against the narrative. I'm going to say, I believe in James Franklin. Not very much. Not very much. But I don't think I need him and Andy Kotelnicki to do anything outside of the loop. The only way that I think that Penn State, with the matchup nightmare that they are, in my opinion, for the Ohio State Buckeyes, end up screwing the pooch, would be if they make it to the Big Ten championship game, if they line up against the Ohio State Buckeyes, and in that game, they end up, again, against a Buckeye team that does not have a lot of defensive experience. They will at that point, but the only way that I don't see Penn State winning the Big Ten this year being the matchup nightmare they are for the Buckeyes, it's very simple. They make it to the Big Ten championship game. They line up against the Ohio State Buckeyes, and James Franklin and Andy Kotelnicki play into the narrative, outdo it, outthink themselves, do not do what brought them there, and end up trying to make Drew Aller look like Drew Brees and go, we're gonna throw it 50 times this game. Because while the Buckeyes don't have a ton of experience on defense, where is the majority of it? In the defensive backfield. In the defensive backfield. So if Penn State ends up in a spot where they are going to be run to get there. And then James Franklin, and this has been the problem, gets cute in the big game, overdoes it, changes stuff, as we've seen him do. Then I think Penn State ends up handing the Big Ten crown back over to Ohio State.
You need to keep a little something else in mind. I mean, have you looked at Ryan Day's facial expressions? Have you heard him talk? There's a little bit of revenge involved here for the defensive coordinator bolting and going to Penn State. I think there's going to be something to prove from Ohio State because of that. I don't think that was a good move. I think that was a bad blood move, and I think the offense is going to have something to prove when they play against that defense.
I mean, I think it's a move that got old boy a lot of money.
Well, there's that for sure.
I can't hate on a dude for getting the bag. I'm not saying that there will be.
If I recall, and I could be wrong, but if I recall, I think he said immediately their goal is to beat Ohio State and bulletin board material.
Sure, but also isn't that everybody's goal in the Big Ten this year? Right? Knock off to I believe there's an expression, and I could have this wrong, but I think Mark Ryan said it. To be the man, you got to beat the man.
I think I heard him say that several times. I don't know where he got it from, but yeah.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. I think everybody's goal is to beat Ohio State. Sure, it's bulletin board material, but it's also accurate. All of that being said, at the end of the day, do you got the dogs? And we know Ohio State does not reset. They just reload, and that's all well and good. But you are reloading 9 guys on offense. 9 guys, including a quarterback who has a dozen college football passing attempts, who is not just stepping into QB1, because that happens to a lot of QBs a lot of the time. Everybody's got to have their first year as a starter, but is doing so on a team that starts inside the top 2 or 3 in terms of shortest odds to win the Natty. It's a lot of pressure on Julian Saint. I'm not saying he's going to succumb to it. I'm just saying it's there.
There's this thing, and you may not agree to it, but I think that it's been proven over the last few years, Ohio State is receiver U. It's not just Jeremiah Smith. Not only do they reload, they bring in guys that would be number 1 everywhere else, and they end up being 2s and 3s. That's recent history proves that out. Look at all those guys and how they're all in the NFL and they're all showing out.
I'm not disagreeing with you. And I also think it is important to point out Carnell Tate is back at wide receiver. You got 2 returners of your offensive guys that are coming back. You have 4 returning starters, 2 of them are wide receivers. That's great. But what I will also point out is for aforementioned Nittany Lions, they're bringing back either top of the head, either 5 or 6 defensive starters, including, I believe, 3 defensive backs.
Quarterback last year was unproven as a Buckeye, transferred in, did what he was able to do. I'm not that worried about Penn State. I do think that they're going to be, because of their schedule, that it's going to be Ohio State versus Penn State for the championship, but I don't know for sure that they're the number 2 team.
I think it is very possible that Oregon sneaks in, because Oregon's schedule is, as we have mentioned a couple of times, with the exception of Oregon State at home, Penn State on the road, Indiana. And they do have a bye week between Penn State and Indiana, but they also have to fly from Oregon to Pennsylvania, back to Oregon for 3 in a row. That's a big ask. And then they have USC and at Washington to end the year. I think it's possible Oregon easy schedules their way into all of this. But in terms of the best teams, Penn State 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon number 3. That's my pick for the Big Ten. Hot take! Nebraska is the Georgia Tech of this division, of this conference. Nebraska wins 1 to 2 games that have an impact on who goes and plays for the Big Ten championship. Nebraska's 9-3 this year.
We'll see.
All right, we're going to talk more Big Ten later. We will end the next hour picking the SEC, the ACC in hour 3, the B1-2, and hour number 4. Your selections for Big Ten champ right now, 844-326 844-326-3663. Now, number 1 in your heart is Lonzo with the Sports Flash.
I'll take 1A, 1B, 1C, as long as I'm in there somewhere. Most of you have really big hearts. The win streak stopped at 5 for the Atlanta Braves, dropping a 13-9 decision at home to the Chicago White Sox. Spencer Strider took his 11th loss of the year, giving up 10 hits and 7 earned runs through just 3 innings, including a pair of home runs Atlanta had 15 hits, including home runs from Jurickson Profar and Michael Harris second. Bengals, the first Monday night football game of the year was the final preseason game of week 2. The Bengals knocked off the Commanders 31-17. Joe Burrow completed 9 of 14 passes for 62 yards and a touchdown before giving way to Jake Browning, who completed 16 of 25 for 159 and a pair of scores. Ryan Day is named Julian Sayin as the Ohio State Buckeyes starting quarterback for their season opener against Texas next Saturday. Day said Sayin just edged out Lincoln Kleinholz and that he earned the job over the last week of practice.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. The I-85 corridor is running at posted speeds through the upstate so far this morning. Keep in mind the Church Street Bridge, US 29 in the heart of Greenville, is down to 1 lane each direction. And Highway 154 McKelvey Road, the bridge over Little Creek, also remains fully closed. Spartanburg.
Real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed.
Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Can you dig it?
The Rob Brown Show continues here on The Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. We got a lot going on this morning. We went through our Big Ten conference predictions and prognostications just a few minutes ago. I am electing to. And whether or not it's going to make me look silly, we will find out. I pointed out after ACC Media Days that between ACC and SEC Media Days in Charlotte and Atlanta, respectively, I pointed out that the conversation about Pennsylvania State University feels different this year. In years gone by, it has felt like it's just been make fun of James Franklin. This year, it doesn't feel that way.
Oh, so we're not allowed to make fun of James Franklin anymore?
No, you still very much are. And okay. I am going to make another prognostication. You're definitely going to. And so will I. And a lot of other people. Until Big Game James is no longer Big Game James. He's Big Game James. So, that being said, I am falling for it. I am falling for the hype. I am falling for the conversation's different for a reason this year. And I've already pointed out, I think Andy Kotelnicki as the offensive coordinator is going to change Penn State. Yes, they have Drew Aller. And yes, a lot of people are on the Drew Aller hype train. I'm not. I think he's fine. I think he's fine. And I think he'll be a fine quarterback, and I think he'll probably end up getting drafted somewhere in the middle rounds, and he'll be okay at the NFL level. I don't think that's the reason Penn State wins. I think it's just the fact that they are going to go back to the old school Penn State style of play. That is to say, run, true pass. We'll see. I got Penn State winning the Big Ten. Lonzo is going with the Buckeyes of Ohio State. We will do at the end of this hour the SEC predictions, prognostications, and projections. We will end the next hour with the ACC, and then we will end the show with the Big 12, and then you will have effectively as many as 6 of our 12 playoff slots filled out. We will talk more about that as the show rolls on. I got a few other stories that I want to get to. We got your audio blitz coming up in an hour from now and more. Let's have some fun on the show. It is 7:03 though. You got less than 57 minutes till you've got to be in the office. Less than 57 minutes until you've got to respond to those emails, and less than 57 minutes before you have to start to pretend like you care about your job. You don't. You're just trying to make it to Saturday. Because while it may not be the best slate of college football of the 2025 season, it is a slate of college football. So we just got to make it. And part of killing time is talking sports. It's your favorite thing. That's why you tune in every day for us to do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "Shut the hell up," even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this morning. When you do, this is what you will be talking about. Let's dive right in with item number 1. Probably not a game too many of you actually care about, but it marked the end of preseason week number 2 for the National Football League, which means it's officially preseason week number 3 for the National Football League, which means that we are now just a couple of weeks away from getting the NFL season started. 31-17, the Commanders fall to the Bengals of Cincinnati last night. The 2 starting quarterbacks, Joey B., Joe Burrow, and Jaden Daniels, last year's NFL Rookie of the Year, both played. Jaden Daniels attempted 0 passes yesterday in the game. He did have a run, a 14-yarder for a tutty. Washington just wanted to figure out who's the guy. Brian Robinson is holding out right now from the Commanders, I suspect because he recognizes he's not a long-term deal and wants to save the wheels for whoever's going to pick him up next. So they had to figure out who's the guy. Chris Rodriguez Jr., 6 for 62 yards. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 11 for 46 yards. I don't know. We'll find out. We did get to see Debo last night. 1 carry, 19 yards.
He looked good. I was like, whoa, okay.
Debo's the reason that hot take. I'm picking the Commanders to outright win the NFC East this year. Yeah, over the reigning, defending National Football League world champions. Debo is going to prove to the 49ers that he is better than y'all thought he was.
There's an excitement about that Washington team. Just watching it, man. And I know it's preseason. It was like I don't know what it is. They might be pretty good. Maybe that's what it is.
Keep in mind, I'm a Commanders hipster. I tried to tell y'all last year, something's up with this team. Something different about this team. They got Jaden Daniels. All of a sudden, Dan Quinn has got Atlanta fans going, what the hell, man? Now? Really? This team's going to be good. Real good. Josh Johnson, 6 of 9, 56 yards and a pick. Sam Hartman, 4 of 10, 29 yards and a pick. 2 turnovers through the air for the Commanders. Over on the other side, Joey B, 9 of 14, 1 touchdown. I don't know why Joey B and the Bengals offense went out on the opening drive and showed you exactly who the hell they're going to be. They're going to throw it all over the field. They're going to be real good at it. And then the Bengals pulled their starters, except Joey B. They sent it back out there. And I get it. You want to give him an opportunity to get on the same page as some of your second-string wide receivers, because it is very possible that at some point in the season, you lose T. Higgins for a couple of weeks. You lose Jamar Chase. You better know who's up next.
It also might be the only chance for these guys to ever get a pass in a real game, sort of, from Joe Burrow.
I don't think that there is, in the National Football League, there is no sentimentality. There was no, hey, Isaiah Williams, I know you're probably never going to be on a football team in the NFL, so let's let Joe B throw you a pass to see how it feels. There's none of that, because if Joe B goes out there and pops the ACL, that Bengals team is set back for 10,000 years.
I am not going to agree with your cold-hearted take. I believe there is sentimentality everywhere.
That's cute. That was really mean. I don't know why I said it that way.
Well, you made me snort.
I think it really just comes down to this team wins if and only if they score 49 points a game. And so we better have some guys ready to go if Jamar Chase and T. Higgins end up going down. So let's enjoy BA back out there for another drive with the backups. However, after Joe Burrow decided to do his best Michael Vick impression, and that wasn't good, they did yank him after that.
He also got slung down.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was not. Yeah. That could have been a lot worse than
if Joe B goes back of dome to turf and is out for 6 weeks with concussion. They're screwed. If Joe B misses a game for the Bengals this year, there's no chance at the playoffs for this team.
Let's face it, they're probably still not going to win many games because that defense is still not.
No, they stink.
Yeah,
they stink. Unless Stewart, their draft pick, ends up being an absolute dude. Which, I mean, he had 2.5 sacks for the Texas A&M Colt Aggies last year. They're hosed, bro. Even if he's freaking, J.J. Watt volume 2.0. They're still screwed. Like, they're just not good. That's why I said they're going to have to score 49 a game if they want to be a good team. And I think they will score 49 a game. I don't think they'll be a good team. Item number 2. This story intrigues me a little bit. I do not know if it will hit you the same way that it hit me. The Arizona Diamondbacks are one of probably, I would say, the 3 most disappointing teams in Major League Baseball this year. I would say, obviously, the Atlanta Braves are very high in that mix. I would say, obviously, the Baltimore Orioles at 58 and 67 are on that list. And I would say the Arizona Diamondbacks are on that list. This is a team that expected with a young core to contend. Instead, they're 6 games below 500. It is not the fault of Ketel Marte. Marte is having one of the best seasons of his career, an all-star second baseman. However, is taking a little bit of heat, not just from Diamondbacks fans, but from reporters and apparently from his own team. The reason why is that after the all-star break, Ketel Marte, who took the break to fly home to his native Dominican Republic, did not fly back in time and ended up missing 3 games. And this was at a point in time where the Diamondbacks believed maybe we can climb back into this thing. Like, we're not that far off the pace. Maybe we can figure it out. But Ketel Marte did not fly back. The team apparently got quite upset with him. The 31-year-old is expected to be full-time the rest of the year. Yesterday, he was called to the carpet. Hey, bro, you've missed 31 games, a number of them without an explanation. Sup, dog? And Marte said that he was, quote, frustrated, end quote, and, quote, in a bad spot, end quote. Why? Because during the break, his home in Scottsdale, Arizona was burglarized. And apparently that, combined with the pressure of being a professional, high-level, all-star caliber athlete, and the fact that having the best season of his career on a team that is a massive disappointment, apparently had some sort of impact on his mental health. And he basically said, I had to take a break. I had to step away from the team for a couple of minutes to get my head right. Since he's come back, he's been a stud as he was before he left. No issue. But this is kind of one of those spots that I find the conversation very interesting, because I am absolutely a massive advocate of taking care of your mental health. And I am absolutely a massive advocate of making people understand you are not your job. That is not your identity. That is not what defines you. I am not a radio show host. It's just a thing that I do. It's part of who I am as a person. So on one hand, if a guy like Ketel Marte, an all-star at his position, says, man, I was in a bad spot. My house got burglarized. My team stinks. Like, I was in a bad spot. On one hand, very much an advocate of stepping away, taking a break, taking care of your mental health, and getting your head right. On the other hand, I also believe there are some spots where I go, yeah, your house got robbed, and that stinks. And let's be real. I think if any of us got our house burglarized and robbed, it'd do a number on you, right? It's not just about losing your stuff. It's about the comfort of your house being your sanctuary being violated.
I've had it happen to me before, and it's not a good feeling.
Yeah. Fortunately, I have made it thus far without that experience. But I would make the assumption that it's got to wear on you, not just, again, the loss of your stuff. And, I like my stuff a lot. But also, can you feel comfortable and secure in your own home anymore? I'm sure it does a number. On the flip side, as far as the baseball stuff goes, there's this antiquated, old school lizard part of my brain that goes, dude, you're a baseball player. You know what I mean? Like, you're a baseball player. Like, go play baseball. The guys are counting on you. Go play baseball. You have some level of responsibility getting paid the amount of money that you get paid. Go play baseball. You'll be okay. And it's a weird spot for me. Like, just being open and honest, because I'm very much a believer in advocating for and taking care of your mental health and recognizing I'm not good right now. I'm just not. Sunday night, we got back from Charleston, South Carolina Sunday night. And because, again, I'll be honest with you, you're my people. Late Sunday night, I had a full sail anxiety attack. Like full sail, all systems go anxiety attack. I did not sleep a minute on Sunday because of it. To the point that around 2:45 in the morning, damn near texted the boss and was like, I have to take the day off. I'm sorry. I've had a mental breakdown. I need the day off. Now, fortunately, through a combination of a fantastic and supporting wife and a wonderful dog, who is my therapy spot, by the time it was time to get in the car and come to work on Monday, I was in a better spot. But not everybody is. I was fortunate to be able to do that. Big fan of advocating for the mental health. On the other hand, you're getting paid a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, the dudes are relying on you. All right, we'll come back to that later on in the show, but we got to get to item number 3. The Associated Press AP All-America team in college football was announced yesterday. Texas and Penn State are not just the top 2 teams in the AP preseason top 25 poll. They are also the leading teams of All-Americans. Both of them had 3. Texas had 1 player from each level of its defense on the first team. The Penn State Nittany Lions, Nick Singleton, who we talked about earlier, is one of 3 Nittany Lions. Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Pitt each had 2 players on the first team. The SEC led the way with 12 players on the 27-man first team. The Big Ten had 7 players, the ACC 4, the Big 12 2. Cade Klubnik was the overwhelming preseason choice for first-team quarterbacks for the AP All-American team. Ohio State safety Caleb Downs and Florida center Jake Slaughter are the returning first-team AP All-Americans. Your first team, Cade Klubnik, Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame, and Nick Singleton at the running backs. Tight end Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt. Wide receivers, no shock there. Jeremiah Smith of Ohio State, Ryan Williams of Alabama, Jordan Tyson at Arizona State, who makes the Sam Lovett connection very interesting. Over on the defensive side, Peter Woods from Clemson got a nod to the first team. Caleb Downs, as mentioned, from Ohio State, is a first-team safety. Garrett Nussmeier was selected as the second-team quarterback for the All-American squad of the AP. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. Got a couple of quick stories I want to hit next. We'll select our SEC champion, runner-up, and bowl teams to wrap up this hour of the show. We'll do the same for the ACC to wrap up the next hour of the show, and the Big 12 to wrap up the second hour. We're talking college football here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Real sports talk for real sports fans.
The Fan Upstate
is the sports voice.
that the Big Ten has had discussions about proposing a new college football playoff expansion model that would, instead of seeing a 16-team bracket, would see a bracket that would include as many as 24 or 28 teams when it's all said and done. Now, I've already said I think that's ridiculous. I think it's preposterous. And I also think, and I thought about this yesterday, I think it is just a negotiating tactic from the Big Ten. This was, I think, to some degree, Lonzo's point yesterday. The negotiating tactic, as literally all of you know, is that when you sit down at the table, you ask for way more than you would be happy to walk away from the table with. That way, when you start walking backwards towards what you actually are going to end up with, you hope it is closer to the ridiculous demand that you made out of the gate. The Big Ten, which includes the Oregon Ducks. Sorry, I'm getting ready for today's Big Three Questions series that I'm continuing. Yesterday, I posted Clemson, Notre Dame, and Georgia. So hit me up on social media at The Rob Brown Show and at the Fan Upstate if you haven't seen those yet. I'll play them and we'll address them later in the show. The Big Ten wants the SEC to go to 9 conference games in order to accept their 5+11 model, or they want the 4-4-2-2-1+ model that has been discussed. The more I thought about this yesterday, because, I talked with the fellas in the group threads and we were kind of having a chuckle at this. The more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I think Lonzo nailed it. I think it's a negotiation tactic. I think it's basically the Big Ten trying to point out to everybody, all we're asking for is 4 automatic qualifiers for our conference. And if you want to know why it's a good idea, here's another thing. Here's another thing that's on the table that is objectively and obviously worse to everybody. There was not a single person from the weekend when Thamel reported it to now. I have not come across a single person who has said, I kind of like the idea. I kind of think it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm good with 28 playoff teams. Not one, not a single person, not a talking head. I was listening to, as a matter of fact, I got a clip for you. Matt Schlick is a talking head on the Big Ten radio network. Here was his thoughts.
I think that's what it is. I think there are 2 things. One, it's creating more access, inventory, dollars, and cents. That to me is the main thing. I have said all along that expanding the playoff was never really about access. It was about inventory. And that's the business that we're in. If we're in the TV business, if the live television rights are the most important thing that you sell, then creating more of those rights and more of that inventory is paramount. And so expanding the playoff is about that, going from 12 teams. And doing that to 24 or 28 and creating more games at the end of the season is another. The biggest concern that I have is changing this sport to the point where it's unrecognizable. We grew up with a sport that was a certain way. Paying the players hasn't changed the sport much. I mean, you have more of a revolving door in the transfer portal. And, oh, my goodness, I used to watch my guy for 5 years. Now it's 1. We've adapted to that. It's not great. I much prefer kids stay at their school for 4 or 5 years, but you can't restrict it. So you understand it. And then we have the expanded playoff, and now we might have even more. You just want your sport to be somewhat recognizable to the one you grew up with. And this isn't a get off my lawn. It's a, can I recognize my house?
So that is the only, I don't even call it a pro 24 or 28 team bracket argument. It's just the only argument I've heard so far where somebody's even trying to justify it is you're trying to create inventory. And that part of the take is right. That is effectively what I've meant over the last couple of years when I've said your feelings about playoff expansion are irrelevant. All that's relevant is the dollar bills, y'all. But as I think most people in the entertainment industry will tell you, there is a balance between having more inventory and watering down a product to the point that people don't care about that inventory any longer. They go, there's too much of this. It is something that, for instance, the superhero movie industry has been dealing with for a very long time. There comes a point where you have got too many superhero movies out there, and it's too difficult for people to come up. It's kind of like when you find a TV show that you really like and you're trying to catch up, but then you go look at it and you come to the realization that, there's like 27 seasons of this TV show. That's too much of that show for me to be possible to keep up with. There's no way I'm catching up. It's like Doctor Who. I really want to get into Doctor Who. There's 9,000 seasons of Doctor Who. And while I understand the concept that you don't have to watch all of them, I know me, I'm OCD. Yes, I do. All right. I need to know all the lore.
Slight exaggeration. There's no way that one person can know all the lore. Just start with Eccleston and then
see, listen, you and Cody Decker both. That's the one thing you are on board with, both Doctor Who guys. I know me. I know me better than you know me. I barely know me, but I know me better than you. And I know there's no
I
world.
hope you know you better than I know you.
There are days I doubt it. Point is, too much of it, right? And I think that's kind of the discussion point that we're at. But that is also why I do not think that the proposal, if there truly is one, from the Big Ten is necessarily one that they're like, seriously, we're committed on this. I think it basically comes down to, we want to show you all just how ridiculous we could try to make this thing if we don't get our way. The problem is, I think they overdid it, because when even the guys on your own payroll, like Matt Schlick of the Big Ten Radio Network, when the guys that are on your payroll are looking at this and saying, nah, dude, that's too much. You're going to water it down. That's just too much. It's kind of like this. At some point, I have to sit down with my boss and his boss, and we have to negotiate what my next contract looks like. I want to stay here. They want me to stay here. Now we just have to agree on the compensation they're going to give me to pick up more work and responsibilities, whatever. If I go in there and I go, hey, boss, could I get a 7% raise, 10% raise, 15% raise because I'm doing this, that, and the other? Am I probably getting it? No, but at least it's an understandable jumping off point for the conversation. However, if I go down the hallway to negotiate the next contract and I go, hey, boss, I'd love to come back. Great. We'd like to have you back, Rob. Awesome. I'd like a Ferrari, please. What do you think he's going to say? He's going to go, well, you better, I don't know, get a job in the city or something. I don't know what to tell you, son. You're not getting a Ferrari.
Say, here, take one of mine.
I mean, that's not what he's going to say. He's going to say, I've only got 7. I can't afford another one for you, right? Point is, that would be a ridiculous first jumping off point. And I do think in this case, the Big Ten probably went a little bit overboard in trying to make a point, because even people that are getting paid to talk about the Big Ten are like, no, dude, you're going to kill the product. Like you're going to make it pointless. If damn near half of the conference gets in, it's going to be the same problem that the NBA has right now. The regular season, while it obviously determines who's going and the seeding of the postseason, go pay attention to the NBA's ratings. Their regular season ratings just aren't good. They pick up in the playoffs. There's a reason for that. It's because everybody goes, right? There's like 4 teams that don't go to the NBA playoffs. It's dramatic. It's an exaggeration, but you get my point. I think it comes down to the Big Ten is not going to make a push for 24 or 28. And even if they do, I think that there's a saturation point where even the TV execs go, that's too much, man. That's too much. Because somebody yesterday on Twitter put out what last year's bracket in a 24-team playoff would have looked like. In round one, we would have gotten Army versus Alabama. Genuine question. How many of you are taking a Saturday off to watch Army versus Alabama? 0. None of you. Only the sickos, man. Only the freak shows like me would go, hey, I'll check in, because Bama's going to win that by 42. The Big Ten, I think, went too far. Nobody's in on this idea. And in trying to create a world where they can prove to the SEC, hey, look, give us our way or else we can make it ridiculous, I think they came up with a plan that when even their own talking heads are like, yeah, no, that's dumb. I think you made the ACC's point, or the SEC's point look stronger. I think you made them look better by doing this, right? If I came on the air and said, hey, guys, I want to stick around, I got contract negotiations, and I demanded the boss buy me a Lamborghini, even you guys that love me, all 5 of you would be like, Rob, come on, dude. That's a little over the top.
You need to remember where you are and demand a truck.
That's also true. If I went in there and demanded a truck, I think even a lot of you guys would be like, come on, dude. Come on, man. An F-450? Come on, Rob. Get it back. I don't even know if that's a thing. You get the point. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk Southeastern Conference. We're going to pick our SEC champion, SEC runner-up, and a couple of over-under win totals of teams we're interested in. That's next on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate.
The Fan Upstate on Odyssey, TuneIn, and now suited up on the iHeartRadio app. Wherever you listen, we bring the game.
I'm Tony Desiri with your sports update on The Fan Upstate.
Scotty Scheffler completed the comeback to win the BMW Championship in Owings Mills, the world's #1 player, capturing his 5th PGA Tour title.
Supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, The Fan.
The Fan! Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the Free Odyssey app. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Text or call. One number does it all.
844-326-3663.
That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is the Rod Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
All right, before I go any further, we do have a couple of comments on the stream.
You got all kinds of commentaries.
Lots of commentaries. The Not Bland Show on our live stream, which you can watch at facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on Twitter, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitch, said, quote, "You can restrict the transferring of players after 1 year. 28 teams is an absolute mess. This smells like the NCAA is just trying to make as much money as they can. This only makes the product weak." Well, keep in mind a couple of things here, DB. First and foremost, the college football playoff is not technically controlled by the NCAA. They will have input in the process, but the committee operates the playoffs independently of the NCAA. That being said, I do not think that this is a money grab, as it is only the Big Ten that is talking about it. I think this is the Big Ten trying to make a point. I think this is the Big Ten trying to say, this is how ridiculous it could be, so give us our way. If you don't give us our way, if the SEC doesn't go to 9 conference games, or if you don't give us the 4-4+ model that we want, then at that point we will be willing to push for something like this, which would make it ridiculous. That's the point that I'm making. I do not think that this is going to be a thing. I do not think that this is going to happen. I do not think that this is even in line as a realistic possibility. Like I said, I think this is the Big Ten trying to make a point, and frankly, I think overplaying their hand to some degree. That in a way that makes, frankly, I think, makes the SEC's point look even better, makes their stance look even better. But we'll circle back around to that. Let's talk some SEC football and pick a conference champion. I'll just go straight out of the gate with my pick. I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs. The big question, obviously, and I think very fairly, is what is their quarterback spot? They are one of many quarterbacks that could be the reason that their team succeeds or does not. Gunnar Stockton, we've said it 1,000 times, highly touted recruit. Everybody in the country wanted Gunnar Stockton, and then a Gunnar Stockton just kind of disappeared from the national conversation until he re-emerging this year with the departure of Carson Beck, who went down to Miami on a $4 million NIL deal. I don't know what they look like there. What I do know is, much like the Penn State Nittany Lions, I am picking them for 2 reasons. Number one, I think Georgia's a running team this year. Georgia was 15th in the conference last year in the running game. 15th in the conference last year. I do not think that is going to be the case again this year. Nate Frazier is back. There's a lot of excitement about what this kid is doing. But I am going to agree with something that Josh Pate said on his prediction show. The most important individual unit on any team in college football this year is Georgia's offensive line. It is an offensive line that is returning one guy, Ernest Green III, their right tackle. Everybody else is new. That being said, everybody else is either a recruit or a transfer that was widely renowned. They are going across their O-line, 315, 330, 305, 325, 320. It ain't the biggest, but it's pretty damn big. The question mark for Georgia is very simply, can they open up holes for Nate Frazier? If the answer is yes, Georgia wins the conference. If the answer is no, they do not. They are also, in this part, I think is part of the reason why I'm taking Georgia over, as most people are, Texas. They also become, to some degree, a matchup problem for Texas. Because if Texas is going to win the conference, as everybody done been saying, if everybody's going to win the conference, it's going to be because Arch Manning really is him, as many Texas apologists are trying to convince us that he is. If Arch Manning is him, how do you prevent Arch Manning from being him? Keep his ass on the bench, right? How do you keep a guy like that on the bench? You run the hell out of the football. Run. The bad news for Georgia is that the entire linebacking core for Texas is back. The good news for Georgia is that 0 of their defensive line is back. So you've got, even though you have an inexperienced offensive line, it is a widely renowned one. Over on the other side, Texas has some All-Americans at all 3 levels, including on the D-line, but not a ton of experience. And I would make the argument that if you have an inexperienced offensive line and an inexperienced defensive line, and the talent on paper is equal, I'll take the offensive line to win it because they have the advantage of knowing when the ball is snapped. And that can be a big, big deal if that is the most important battle on the football field. You add on top of that the fact that Kirby Smart does not choke it up in big games. He just doesn't. The games that Georgia has lost in the postseason have not been, unlike Texas, games where they lost because of Kirby Smart losing his mind. The games that Georgia's lost in the postseason under Kirby Smart, they've lost because they got outplayed by a better football team. That, in my opinion. So, to me, the advantages are I very much trust the Texas run game, and you will hear that as a common theme about our Big Four. I picked my Big Ten champ because I think they will be the best run team in the conference, Penn State. I'm picking my SEC squad, Georgia, because I do think that they are going to go from 15th in the conference to the best run game in the conference this year behind Nate Frazier. So I'm going with Georgia to win the SEC over Texas. I got a couple of other hot takes. I think LSU is an 8-4 football team this year. I know everybody's in on Garrett Nussmeier. I respect it. Fine. I think that even if they are all in, I'm not a Brian Kelly guy, and I think I think a loss to Clemson out of the gate will send them spiraling. I think Bama's going to be good. I think Oklahoma's going to be good. I think South Carolina's going to be good. I think Florida's going to be good. And I think Texas A&M's going to be mid. If I ain't mentioned you, I think you're in the bottom half of the league.
I was hoping to get to go first because I also am going with Georgia as number one. And one thing I disagree with you about what you said about Arch Manning not being able to prove he's him by leaving him on the bench. I want him in the game so he can prove he's not him, because I don't believe in it. Listen, nothing against the kid or anything. I hope he proves me wrong, but I'm going to go with Spurrier. There's a reason he was on the bench. Doesn't mean he hasn't improved, but so much hype. How many times does someone with this much hype actually live up to it? And we'll see. So I'm definitely going with Georgia. I think Georgia has a better shot of winning the SEC. And I also, and I do think it'll be Georgia playing Texas probably. I think South Carolina's in the mix. And I know it sounds like I'm being a homer and I don't care. But I think South Carolina's in the mix. I think if they can get past that hard part of the schedule, they get 2 out of those 3 wins, they're right there.
I'm going to need you to tell me which 3 you're talking about, because you're looking at LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M, back home for Coastal, back home for Clemson. You could pick any 3 of those 7 and say it's that 3-game stretch. That's the most difficult second half of the schedule in college football.
The last 2 games are gimmies. So it's the 3 before that.
So you're going Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M? Or you're going LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama? Or you're going Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss?
It's the one starting with LSU.
LSU on the road Back home for Alabama, or back home for Oklahoma, back home for Alabama.
And Alabama, I'm not that concerned about Alabama because they should have beat Alabama last year, and I think that weighs on you because there are a lot of players who played in that game that are back this year who are going to remember that and remember how close they were, and it's going to give them more confidence.
I mean, we'll see. It's definitely a revenge game. Again, have mentioned South Carolina lost that game because South Carolina shot themselves in the foot. They didn't get beat in that game. They gave that game away. So, with that being said, I do think there's the revenge factor there. I think there's the revenge factor in the LSU game, a game that they did not lose last year. And I hate being this guy, but sometimes you got to be that guy. I think that they had that game taken from them last year. They straight up had that game taken from them.
So you're not the guy against officiating. You're not that guy.
Again, no, I'm very against officiating.
Okay, all right, because
when officiating's bad, officiating's bad. I think that game was flat out outright stolen last year away from South Carolina. Roger?
Wow.
Is that you, Roger?
Yeah, but only part of the horn is playing.
Poor Roger's got some allergies going this morning. Look, I think that I understand all the pressure is on LSU. No, scratch that. All the pressure's on Brian Kelly. You know why I think there's an LSU meltdown coming? Real simple. Because if you paid attention to it, you are aware that Brian Kelly gets worse, not as a coach, as a person, as the pressure mounts on him. That's part of the reason he lost Notre Dame is because after they had the incident at a practice, when the entire country started to kind of fall down on Brian Kelly, I think he basically got to the point where he's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Hey, we're a week away from picking that game. Whatever you're deciding, whatever you believe is going to be the winner right now, is there anything that can change your mind between now and next week?
I mean, honestly, probably not. It's week 1. Now, if it was week 2.
I mean, maybe a major injury to a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, if Cade or Garrett are out of the game, that obviously changes it. If Antonio Williams is out of the game, that obviously changes it. Like, there's some things that could change the opinion. But as of right now, I do not think. That's not even saying LSU's going to lose to Clemson in week 1. That's going to be a hell of a football game. It's 3 points, 2.5 point spread for a reason. I think the point that I'm making here is if they lose that game, and if Brian Kelly genuinely feels like he is under some level of pressure to perform or get put out the pasture by the LSU family, there comes a point where Brian Kelly starts being a butthole to his guys, and the guys go, nah, I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Screw that guy. And the team falls apart, which I think is very much in play for LSU this year. So, with that being said, I'm out on LSU. I am in on Alabama. They have the same question that a lot of other people do, which is, can their quarterback not be a reason they lose? I don't need every one of these quarterbacks we've talked about to be the reason that they win. I need some of them, Ty Simpson being one of them, to be the reason that not the reason that they lose. And that's kind of where I'm at with Bama. They've got plenty of talent everywhere to be a contender, Mick. I do not think that they are going to be in the SEC championship game. I'm sorry, my Gamecock fans. You don't have the talent to be in the SEC championship game. You've got the talent to have an impact on who is. You've got the talent, I think, to slide in the back door of the playoffs and maybe be the 11-12 seed. Wow. You do not have Georgia talent. You don't have Texas talent. You don't have LSU talent yet.
I'm sorry. You're just not good enough. Wow. That's hurtful.
You want me to be honest, or you want me to kiss ass?
Well, what I want to know is how comfortable your couch is. That's what I want to know.
The lady friend doesn't love, but knows that at the end of the day, when Rob Brown sits behind this mic that doesn't have a condom on it,
please stop doing that.
that he is going to be objective.
I don't know that you
team.
Can't break it by doing that.
No, it's just
there's a thing inside there, that could break.
So I think that South Carolina is without a doubt a player in this conference. I think they have a say in who does and does not make it. into the SEC championship game, possibly. It could be South Carolina that eliminates Alabama from it. It could be South Carolina that eliminates LSU from it. You're just not there yet. You're just not there yet. You've got a quarterback who will be
no chance of making the playoff.
I didn't know. I specifically said the opposite.
Okay, I'm just helping you in case people didn't hear what you didn't say.
No, I did say. I think there is
I
think there is a chance that South Carolina could slip in the back door as a 11 or 12 seed.
All right.
I think they could be 9-3. I do think a three-loss playoff team is in. And if South Carolina ends up being 9-3 out of the Southeastern Conference and they win a couple of ranked top 15, top 10 games in the way, I do not think they have the talent to be with the SEC's championship dogs, Georgia, Texas, whatever. And I'm not even saying South Carolina can go to the playoffs and like have a good run. I don't.
What if Arch is as bad as he could be?
I still think overall Alabama is better. I still think overall LSU is better. I think
Alabama improved from last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, they absolutely did.
Because they weren't better last year.
I think Alabama improved from last year. I think the pressure on Kalen DeBoer to be Nick Saban Volume 2.0 has eased up on him to some degree.
No, it hasn't.
I think it has.
I don't think the only way it can is if he wins a national championship. If not, that pressure is always going to be there.
You're not wrong about it. That's why I didn't say it's gone. I said it's eased up. But all of that being said, at the end of the day, you still have questions about your offensive line. You don't know today who your starting running back is. You got a lot to replace on. Like, there's too many questions. South Carolina will not compete for an SEC title. They may compete to sneak in the back door of the college football playoffs as the 11 or 12 seed. I think 9-3 is probably the roof, and that might be good enough to get you in. We'll see, unless Lenore is just even better than we think he's going to be. You know what's going to be better than you think it's going to be? The Sports Flash.
Especially if you think it's going to be as bad as I thought it was going to be. The win streak stopped at 5 for the Atlanta Braves, dropping a 13-9 decision at home to the Chicago White Sox. Spencer Strider took his 11th loss of the year, giving up 10 hits and 7 earned runs through just 3 innings, including a pair of home runs. Atlanta had 15 hits, including home runs from Jurickson Profar and Michael Harris II. First Monday night football game of the year was the final preseason game of week 2. The Bengals knocked off the Commanders 31-17. Joe Burrow completed 9 of 14 passes for 62 yards and a touchdown before giving way to Jake Browning, who completed 16 of 25 for 159 and a pair of scores. Ryan Day has named Julian Sayin as the Ohio State Buckeyes starting quarterback for their season opener against Texas next Saturday. Day said Sayin just edged out Lincoln Heinholz, and that he earned the job over the last week of practice.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. Southbound I-85 has now slowed significantly from 290 East Main Spartanburg past 14 to Pelham. Most of that stretch is sluggish speeds, but you do kind of stall out from Aviation Parkway to Highway 14. And Highway 14 is very slow between I-85 and Five Forks. Elsewhere, it's all pretty normal for this time of morning with no wrecks to report. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on The Fan, Upstate.
A lot of hot air. We'll discuss as we take a bite out of history with Ingalls Markets. Hot air balloons gave humans flight since the 1780s. By the mid-1850s, sport ballooning became popular, and early aviators tried to break endurance and distant records in balloons. In 1859, the first attempt at a transatlantic balloon flight was launched, but failed. In total, there were 17 failed attempts to cross the Atlantic via balloon between 1859 and 1978 that included at least 7 deaths. Then in 1978, Ben Abruzzo, Maxie Anderson, and Larry Newman launched the Double Eagle 2. It was an 11-story tall helium-filled balloon and was launched from the coast of Maine with the destination of France. More specifically, the same location that Charles Lindbergh reached in his airplane. After 137 hours of flight, traveling 3,233 miles, the aviators completed their journey to France. They landed a bit off course, about 50 miles from Paris, setting new world records for ballooning. The men lived on water, hot dogs, and canned sardines during the 6-day adventure. This has been a Bite Out of History with Ingalls Markets.
Mad World Haunted Attraction opens September 5th. Get ready for 15 years of fear at Mad World. Mad World is much more than just a haunted house. It's a fall tradition like no other. Experience.
Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great Alonzo, and you be a part of the show. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. If you do that, you will be on the radio with me and the Great One Lonzo, or you can text that phone number, 844-326-3663. Today on the show, we are doing our college football conference championship projections. We have done so far this AM the Big Ten. Rob Brown selecting the Penn State Nittany Lions with the Ohio State Buckeyes as runners-up. Lonzo is flipping those two, taking the Buckeyes to be the Chomps once again, and the Penn State Nittany Lions as the runners-up. In the Southeastern Conference, Zoe and I have both selected the Georgia Bulldogs as our champions. I am going with Texas as the runners-up. And I got to tell you, I'm less comfortable with Texas as runners-up than I am with Georgia. At the final segment of this hour, we will do the Atlantic Coast Conference. And I think that is mainly going to be, who do we think the runner-up is? I think of all of the Power 4 conference champions, the one that seems to be consensus is that Clemson's winning this conference. But is there anybody who can make it interesting? We're going to talk about that to wrap up this hour of the show. But it is 8:02 in the morning. It is time for our audio blitz, the best audio that we have picked up over the past 24 hours since the last time that we did the audio blitz. So let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to tell you how good it felt last night when I heard
tonight on SportsCenter. The preseason Monday Nighters certainly did not disappoint in D.C., while an old D.C. star powered up the Phillies against the Mariners twice. In Pittsburgh, Paul Skeens actually got runs, 2 of them. Was it enough against Toronto? But really, sometimes you gotta keep it simple and direct.
Why didn't you go down?
I wanted to score. This show is all about strolling down memory lane. No, not about having hair. It's about throwing a whole bunch at you while having an old school good time. So stay tuned and don't flip out. SportsCenter is next.
I don't know, man. He sounded like Rich Eisen playing Rich Eisen. I just.
Oh, that is 1,000% how the old Rich Eisen's "This Is SportsCenter" sound. He's 100% reading off a script, but he's doing it with the charm that only Rich Eisen has. I loved it. I did not watch all of SportsCenter. I watched enough of it to warm the interior of my icy cold heart. Oh, it just felt good. You know why it felt good? Because we did not have a bunch of interlaced hot takes and stupid segments. It was just Rich Eisen being back and giving us the sports news.
I saw the Stuart Scott segment. That was rough, man.
Yeah. I miss Stu a lot. Stu Scott was cooler than the other side of the pillow, man. The best. But that being said, as much as it does pain me that Rich Eisen is moving, I will also say, if he's going to move, I'm good with it if we get a bunch of that. Just give me SportsCenter the way it used to be. Just give me that. Austin says, hearing Rich Eisen on SportsCenter last night was nostalgia. I watched until midnight. A lot of flashbacks. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's get some other segments in here, shall we? Here's a take that I also agree and love.
But I recognize my station in the world, or my place in the American sports fans' life. And I'm very thankful for that I spend 7 hours every Sunday in people's living rooms across the nation, across the world for that matter. I take it very, very seriously. But it's been kind of a wild ride. And as for college football red zone, which is the big one that people are talking about, if Bob Iger, Jimmy Pitaro, Burt Magnuson want to hit me up, I love college. I love college every bit as much as I love pros.
Well, there's way more games too.
there's a lot of different dynamics. If you were to do a college football red zone, okay, first of all, ESPN doesn't have the rights to every conference.
Right.
And second of all, the kickoffs are not all synchronized. Yeah, you get a good batch kicking off at noon Eastern, but they're not all synchronized. They come at different times. The games go throughout the day. And then here's the other thing. If your favorite team is the New York Giants, fine, the New York Giants. You can probably still name the other 31 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. If your favorite team is the Alabama Crimson Tide, you probably know the Alabama Crimson Tide, but you can't name me 30 other quarterbacks in college football. You might be able to name the rest of the SEC maybe, or maybe some of the big opponents, but so college is not quite as accessible to the frontal lobe of the American sports fan as it is in the NFL. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that, of course, is NFL Red Zone legend Scott Hansen. And I probably didn't need the second half of that clip. The point was he's open to a college football red zone. Now, we pointed out the big problem with that, which is the TV rights are scattered all over the country. So it would be nearly impossible to make that happen. And on top of that, ain't no way Fox is allowing ESPN to put Big Ten games on a red zone style channel. But man, in the fictional world in my head that I live in, that's like the greatest thing that would ever happen to television. In the fictional world in my head where ideals overcome money, that would be the greatest thing that ever happened.
I think sometimes you should let something be special. And red zone is special for the NFL. Why not just let it be its thing?
Because
Why do you have to take something like that that's nearly perfect and move it to other places? Let it be the one thing on Sunday. It's going to be there, and we're so glad that it's still going to be there. We'll see how much it changes, but knowing that it's there, I don't want that everywhere else. I just want it to be there.
Don't be selfish, Lonzo. Don't be a selfish person. All right. I will tell you why it would be amazing in the college football landscape. Let's flip ahead. Just pick a random. Let's say week 6 in college football. Let's just pick a random week. Week 6 in college football. In week 6 in college football, Saturday looks like this. And some of these have times and some don't. Texas at Florida, Penn State at UCLA, Minnesota at Ohio State, Clemson at North Carolina, Vandy at Alabama, Miami at FSU, Illinois at Purdue, Wisconsin at Michigan, Syracuse, SMU, Kansas State at Baylor, Mississippi State at A&M, Iowa State at Cincinnati, Texas Tech at Houston, Washington at Maryland, UL Monroe at Northwestern. I don't have to go through all of them. Point is, there's 1,000 games that day, and I would say probably 12 to 15 of them, all the way through Boise State at Notre Dame, genuinely have playoff implications, right? Like, have playoff implications. 1 o'clock on Sunday, there's 9 games going on, 7 games going on, something like that. In college, you've got 6 times that many games and just as many that matter. If I had a whip around, I'm all in. It'd be great.
So what you're saying is you want college football to be more like the NFL. That's what I got from everything you just said.
No, I want red zone.
That's what it's not. Yeah, that's what you want it to be more that other product. So that means you want college football to be the NFL.
I mean, if you would like to make me say something that I definitely didn't say, or maybe just say, I'd like coverage on Saturdays to be as thorough as NFL coverage is. Yes, I want college football coverage to be as much like the NFL as we can make it.
That's even worse without the thing on there.
Yeah, it really was. That was pretty bad. Let's get a couple more in here, shall we? Let's go. John Kruk. He's becoming a feature on the Audio Blitz. It's at the point now where I watch Phillies games. Not because I like the Phillies. In fact, quite the opposite. I hate the Phillies. Because John Kruk's incredible.
So you know how I think of things when I have free time and I shouldn't?
Yep.
So I was wondering. Yep. The person who invented the clock.
Yeah. Which one? The digital or the hand?
The first clock ever.
Okay.
How did that person know what time it was?
Well, that's a really good question.
I thought so.
Bouncer back toward the middle. Gobbled up by Young. One hopper. And ball was safe. There is that sundial they might have used.
Is that accurate, though?
Oh, I guess it's as accurate as it can be. So when you were contemplating the clock thing, did you come up with any answers yourself?
No. I thought I'd ask you.
I would think sundial.
Which is exactly what I thought. Sundial. I mean, it has to be based on the sundial, right?
Look, I don't know. Here's what I learned last night. The earliest mechanical clocks are dated back to the 13th century. It is not attributed to any one person. There were water clocks invented by the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Greek before that. There were sundials that date back to the ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans. All I know is this. That conversation is during a Major League Baseball game.
Well, yeah.
John Kruk.
You got plenty of time, dude.
Doing his best Cheech and Chong impression live on the air. Hey, man. Who invented the first clock? And how did they know what time it was, man? I don't know, dude. That's a good question, dude. Oh, but he wasn't done.
If I ever become a vegan, would you just punch me in the face as hard as you can?
You know, Sarge had us asked us to do something to him if something happened, but we didn't do it. So yeah, we would do it to you.
Hey, man, if I ever become a vegan, will you just punch me in the face? Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Be happy to. Incredible. John Kruk.
And if you become a vegan, you'll be too weak to respond. So, I mean, there's that.
John Kruk's the best. I told Lonzo I was going to play this one, so I'm going to put it in the audio blitz. You guys know, we've played them a few times. The Texas Rangers have a mariachi band that plays intermission breaks, plays inning intermission breaks every now and then. They got real big last year because when it was announced that Creed had reformed and was going back on tour, they played mariachi Higher by Creed, and it was incredible. Well, turns out they needed a couple of games to get back to the crib, but it was time to pay tribute and homage to a rock and roll legend.
Finished with my woman 'cause she couldn't help me with my mind. People think that I'm insane because I'm frowning all the Holding long, I think of things, but nothing seems to satisfy. I'm thinking I'm going insane if I can find something to pacify. Won't you help me? Occupy my pain. Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Ozzy. It's Mary Ozzy.
Okay, did you do that part on your own?
Yeah.
Did that? Okay.
Yeah, it came to me last night when I found that. I'm like, hey, it's Mary Ozzy music.
Well done.
Incredibly
I thought he was going to die when he tried to hit the high note, but he got it back.
I loved every second of it. And now I just want that band to do just a complete and total album of nothing but covers done mariachi.
All right.
Style.
Did you watch video or did you just?
Oh no, I watched video.
So was he smiling though? Because mariachi bands, they smile. This guy smiled the whole time. So he's smiling the whole time he was singing.
You know what I appreciated about it is that yes, until he started singing, and then no, he went Ozzy.
Okay,
like he was Prince of Darkness. It was incredible. Mike Vrabel is a dude. He said, and then the clip didn't move over to the play cart to where I needed to be so that I can start playing. Let me try that again. Mike Vrabel's a dude.
Is there something outside football that drives Mike Vrabel nuts?
Yes. People, when they leave their carts in the middle of the parking lot and they don't take them back to the cart return.
That's a good one.
And then the people at Starbucks that park in the handicap spot and go in there and try to get their order from the mobile order.
Who aren't handicapped?
By no means handicapped. No, I look in the dash, I look, and then I wait. And then I approach them.
Wait. So
and I say things like, why did you park here? One person would be like, I'm with DoorDash. I'm like, I don't care. That's unacceptable. And then there's the mom that's going to yoga and she's rushing because she's late. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
if there was a way you could actually punish them, what would you do?
I wish I had a boot. That's a great idea. I would boot their car, just like a mobile boot, and said, I parked in a handicap spot and I'm not handicapped.
That's amazing. And I could just see him installing the boot and just glaring at anyone trying to stop him from installing the boot. I don't know how hard it would be to install a boot.
There is I don't know what you would call it, an internet thing that's gone around for years called the shopping cart test. You ever heard of this? The shopping cart test is basically a test of who you are as a person. Because if you're the person that can't take the 16 seconds it takes to bring your shopping cart to the shopping cart corral, and you would rather just leave your shopping cart somewhere in the parking lot that impacts everybody else but not you, you're a bad person. You're just a bad person.
All right, so I have a confession to make, and I'm sure a lot of people will be right here with me when I say, when I went to the store Sunday, I had a hard time not trying to compete in the German cart return.
Hell yes, Lonzo. Hell yes.
I watched that video over and over again, and I'm like, I'm 20 feet away. I'm thinking, I know there are cars on both sides of the corral. I got this. I didn't do it.
If you don't know what Lonzo's talking about, over the weekend, some video came out of Germany. Apparently, there is a full wholesale pro sports league. And I don't know really what to call it other than shopping cart snipering. Like, basically, it's a competition where people get progressively further away from a shopping cart corral, and you push your cart to get it to go into the corral. Bonus points if it doesn't touch the sides of the corral. And I'm going to tell you right now, I make jokes a lot. I was okay at a bunch of different sports. I wasn't really good at anything. I wish I would have. I wish I would have been. I was not really good at anything. But I saw that, and I am 99% confident that I'm ready to sell everything I own, pack up, fly to Berlin, because I'm pretty sure I'd be the Michael Jordan of whatever that is. Because to the frustration of my wife, I am 1,000 point the dude that is going to roll that shopping cart to the other side of the parking lot to get that thing into the corral on the push. When that, I would be the Michael Jordan of whatever the hell that sport is called.
Here's the thing, there's certain skills in life that you don't lose no matter what your age. And I worked at grocery stores for a long time before I found my career, and very skilled then, have it now. Even if I had a bad eyesight, I would be able to do that just because it's about feeling the cart and knowing your trajectory, knowing the resistance.
You got to figure out. Do you have that one wheel that kind of as it rolls, because then you have to adjust for that. Does that shopping cart have a natural pull to the left or the right? You got to account for that. You got to look at the terrain to see if the asphalt has cracks in it or anything like that. So and is there potential as you're a further distance away of a car coming in and intercepting the cart before it gets there? So. I got an idea. To get rid of you absolute buttholes that just leave your shopping carts all over the parking lot. New rule, every grocery store over on the side puts up their corral, and on the side they have a little box. And then there's a line in front of the corral. And if you, and it's going to be recorded or on camera, if you can push your shopping cart in from behind that line, that thing prints a coupon for like 5% off your next grocery trip. Or 10% off. And that way, and then you leave some space around the corral, right? Like no parking next to the corral, because some people are going to be real bad at this. But we print out percentage off coupons, and we turn returning. You should do it anyway. You shouldn't need a prize or an incentive. The incentive is the rest of society doesn't think you're a complete and total ass. Put your shopping carts back. But if we got to make it a game so that you children stop being discourteous to the rest of society, then I'm down with that. Then I'm in on that. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Got a couple of short stories. Then we pick our ACC winner to wrap up this hour on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
The Rich Eisen Show, today at noon, only on the Fan Upstate.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolinas' most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. A few scattered showers and storms at times today. Partial sunshine develops, high of 86. Tonight, partly cloudy skies develop, a low near 71. Wednesday, a slight chance for storms and a high around 90. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 73.
diving in on the details. I'm Anish Shroff with the
with Reggie Scholl leading the charge. Burns football is brought to you by Ingalls and Founders Federal Credit Union. Don't miss it. This Friday night, Rebels football is back on the Fan Upstate.
Your guide to the gridiron, the maestro of the matchups and the keeper of all things cool in the sports world. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Oh, yeah. Lonzo's here, too.
This is the Fan Upstate.
You know what? Shout out, per Steven on the stream, shout out to Aldi. Because Aldi figured it out. And as much as I sometimes get real frustrated, I'll hit the Aldi every now and then. When I used to live over towards the Aldi on the way to Hampton. And so I used to hit the Aldi all the time. And now it's more like if I happen to be over that way and I happen to need something, I'll happen to hit the Aldi. Aldi figured it out. They said, yo, you can use our grocery cart here, but you got to put a quarter in it. You can keep your quarter, but you put the little quarter in the slot. It unhooks the grocery cart. And as long as the grocery cart is unhooked, your quarter is locked in. So you can leave the cart out in the parking lot like a jerk if you want to, but it's going to cost you a quarter. It's going to cost you a quarter if you do that. I'm good with that. I never have cash. When I lived over towards the Aldi on Wade Hampton in Taylor's for a hot minute, and that kind of was the default supermarket for me, there was always one quarter in the rig. Always one quarter in the rig because I wasn't going to not use a shopping cart, right? Like I'm a bulk grocery guy. I don't go to the grocery store until I am out of everything at the house. So there was always a quarter. So I had the cart ready, and I have never gone to the Aldi and had to maneuver the rig around shopping carts that people left in the middle of the parking lot because they're jackasses.
Listen, I've said this before. I'll say it again, and I don't care if you guys believe me or not, and I'm not trying to be disparaging to Aldi, but anytime we get anything from Aldi, I get stems. I just any vegetable, I get stems. I get it just every time it's like my wife will make corn or green beans or something, and I will, like the second or third bite, I get a hard stem. And I'm like, tell me you didn't give us all these vegetables again.
I've never had that issue with the Aldi.
Yeah, listen, maybe it's selective, maybe it's accidental, maybe they just don't like me and they figure out a way to get me that can every single time. And if we get any kind of meat or anything there, I get grizzle. I just get it. It's a wonderful store. I'm glad that the prices are cheap, but I like to keep my teeth. That's and it's again, I'm the only one I know that this happens to, and it isn't like I can't prove it. I mean, when it happens, I'm like, look, they got me again.
I got nothing, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like do I
need to put everything through a sieve or a colander before I eat it? Although I think it would get caught in the colander, so that probably wouldn't work. Never had an issue. All right. Bruce Feldman put up on his Twitter account an article asking who are the coaches that are going on or may already be on the hot seat. And he's got a few of them. He mentions right out of the gate that he thinks Virginia's Tony Elliott, the former Clemson offensive coordinator, is on the hot seat at Virginia. I actually agree with that take. I think Tony Elliott is on the hot seat. I think the expectations when he came over from Clemson were that Virginia would just be competitive. And not only are they not, it feels like they may be further away from that than they were when they started. He's got Brent Pry of Virginia Tech on the hot seat. I actually disagree with that one. I do think he is on the hot seat to go on the hot seat. I don't think it's this year. I think it'll be next year that is going to potentially do him in. He's got Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State University. That is an interesting one to me. He's a man.
He is. Although he's not 40 anymore.
We'll go with like 52.
Mike Gundy's 58.
Wow, he's older than me.
It has been 18 years since Mike Gundy dropped Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. On her head. 18 long ass years since Mike Gundy was a man and 40. That's unbelievable. He's got Sam Pittman on the list.
You're 47. What are you going to do?
I'm a man. I'm almost 60. Come after me. That's unbelievable. He's got Sam Pittman on the list. He's got Hugh Freeze on this list. Now, I don't know if you saw this story out of Auburn. You know, earlier we did our Southeastern Conference champions and runners-up. Lonzo and I both taking Georgia as champs. I believe you said Texas is runners-up as well. So did I. We ended up matching on that one. And then I ran through the teams I think are going to be good in upper echelon, teams that I think are going to be good at the top of the mid, teams that are going to be at the bottom of the mid, and then a bunch of teams I just didn't mention. And said, if I didn't mention your team, I think your team's going to not be good. And I didn't mention Auburn.
Your team's going to stink. It's going to smell. It's going to be horrible.
And that's
Auburn. Hard for you to be a fan of that team. If
you have not seen the story that has been coming out of Auburn over the past couple of weeks, let me help you out. And I do this for you, the people, and I do this for you, the people, because I want you to be able to look at your team and go, that ain't that bad. Maybe things aren't quite that bad. Hugh Freeze the other day let it fly about how offensive play calling is going to go for the Auburn Tigers. He let it fly about how the play calling is going to work. And here is what we know so far. Apparently, according to reports, including one not a couple of days ago from a cat by the name of Justin Hokanson, Justin covers Auburn for On3 Sports. There are 3 cats who will be involved: Hugh Freeze, Derek Nix, and Kent Austin. And according to Justin Hokanson, who covers Auburn for On3 Sports, Derek Nix will handle play calling on first down. Kent Austin will cover play calling on third down. And Hugh Freeze will do whatever he wants all the time. Like sometimes he'll go, okay, you're first down and you're third down, but sometimes I'm going to be first down and sometimes you're going to be first down, but sometimes maybe you'll be third down. It's pretty ugly. And then Hugh Freeze at practice the other day was asked to clarify.
We clarify something on like play calling stuff. Last year it was, hey, those guys were kind of setting first and third downs, suggesting things, and then you're kind of going from there. Is that kind of the way
it's Derek Nix is the offensive coordinator. He does all the planning, scripting, in charge of the game plan. But man, there's no staff that is not a collaboration on the plan. And I offensively or defensively reserve the right to say on the call sheet, I don't really like that one right here. But he does a great job for us. Kent kind of leads the third down plan. But other than that, Nick's kind of leads the charge and has the play calling duties, with me reserving the right to say, hey, I go over on defense and during the when we're on defense to do head coaching duties and do the same thing there and say, I think you ought to give me a hole player here. Or I don't tell DJ a whole lot, but there's times I can see what I think offenses are doing, and I say, hey, man, I think we need to cloud this. But that's the way it'll be this year. And while I'm doing that, there's the offensive guys led by Nix are talking about the next series and what we should do. And usually there's another TV timeout or something, so I have time to get back on and say, all right, what do y'all think? But yes, I like all of that.
When it comes to talking with Jackson.
Cool. Let me just let you all know that P1 Keegan, our resident Auburn fan, not okay right now. He's just not okay. And it's understandable because what Hugh Freeze just said is we got an OC and he's in charge. But also this other guy is in charge too, but also I'm in charge too, but I'm also in charge over there. So like sometimes I'm over there. So like that guy's in charge, but also the other guy's kind of also in charge. But then I can come back and then also be back in charge if I. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like if this was Dan Lanning, Ryan Day, Kirby Smart, Dabo Sweeney, I'd probably be like, hey, who the hell am I to question, right? Like, who am I to question? But this is the same cat who was getting into it. I guess I shouldn't say he was getting into it. The fans were getting into it with him because a few months ago during Cruton season, when Kalen DeBoer's working the phone lines, my man Hugh Freeze is telling people, I'm a little under the weather, and gets caught playing golf. The Auburn fans are already unhappy. And now on a team that has failed to live up to expectations. And keep in mind, this is the same Hugh Freeze that Auburn rolled the dice on. This is the Hugh Freeze that has gone out there and said, I'm a good Christian feller. As long as you don't look at the multiple times I was using burner phones to call hookers and stuff like that. Like as long as you don't look at everything he does, he's a great guy and a great coach. But outside of that, outside of all of that, he's a good dude. They took a chance on this cat to be the head coach, to be the guy that leads this program. And here we are, a week and a half away from a season where the expectations on Hugh Freeze are no longer negotiable. They are now requirements. They are no longer negotiable. They are now requirements. And I got homeboy saying, hey, sometimes that guy's going to call it, and sometimes I'll call it, but sometimes this other guy's going to call it, but then sometimes that guy will call it, and then sometimes I'll call. What are we doing, Hugh? What are we doing here, man? Like, unbelievable. I love this so gosh darn much. I really do. Auburn's going to be a disaster this year. I said during our ACC championship prognostications earlier, I mentioned the teams I think are championship contenders: Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. I mentioned the teams I think are in the middle: Texas A&M, South Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. I said if I didn't mention your team, I think your team's in trouble. I did mention Auburn as the only team that I mentioned out of the teams that I said I'm not going to mention. That's how in trouble I think they are. Good luck, Aubie. We pick our ACC champs next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Opinions, analysis, and entertainment all rolled into one sports talk show. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive. The White Sox beat the Braves 13-9 on Monday. Brooks Baldwin and Lennon Sosa homered for the Sox. Mike Tauchman ripped the bases-loaded double. Sosa also had an RBI single. Atlanta's Michael Harris, the second, hit his 15th homer and extended his hitting streak to 11 games. Jerks and Profile.
All right, let's test this. Did I get it fixed this time? Can you hear me? Please say something. Uh-oh, I think I got it fixed. If you can hear me speaking and not hear the commercials right now, please comment. I would appreciate it. I got it fixed. I'm pretty sure. Yes. Okay, Steven. I got it fixed. The mic settings were wrong. Everything was, I had to redo everything. And yeah, I'm gonna blame it on me that it's not really my fault, but I'm gonna take the blame because but I just learned something. So appreciate you guys, and I wish would have known this yesterday. But I thought there was something weird because because I didn't hit record right on Cody and it's still recorded. So, and I'm still, yeah. Thanks, guys. And sorry. I technically am an audio engineer. I have a degree in everything, but that was a long time ago, and this stuff didn't exist when I went to school. So, I mean,
Lonzo did math on an abacus.
I've never seen an abacus in person. Have you? Would you recognize one? It's like moving the things, right?
Yeah, it's like little disc on wire.
Yeah, you just yeah. I don't even know how to spell abacus. Really don't.
ABACUS.
That's what I was going to try. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I wonder if you can buy one. I'm just curious. You can. I might gift it to all the producers for Christmas. Ooh, there's a portable one for $6.34, but it's on Temu. So I mean, it might be all right. It might not. Why do women trust Temu so much and guys don't?
I don't know. That's actually a fair question. I don't trust Temu at all. The wife has ordered off Temu many times.
Same here.
The Atlantic Coast Conference feels like it's Clemson, and that's the biggest guarantee. In fact, I have yet to, in the many podcasts and blogs and radio shows and TV shows that I have watched getting prepared for the college football season, I do not believe that I have found yet anyone who has not picked Clemson to ultimately win the Atlantic Coast Conference. They are clear and away the best team in it. Now, who could be a challenge for them? Well, the teams that we have mentioned at length. Miami. I don't trust Mario Cristobal as far as I can throw him. That being said, I actually think Carson Beck, for all the crap I've given him this offseason, the more I've actually gone back and looked at Carson Beck, the more I realize he might actually be really good. Not kind of good, really good. And one of the stats that kind of jumped out at me to make me believe that was Georgia, who won the SEC last year, remember? Georgia won the SEC with the 15th ranked run game in it. If they were 15th in the conference yet won the conference, that means Carson Beck was pretty good at QB. 24-3 at Georgia during his time with the Bulldogs. I think Carson Beck, with probably one of the better wide receiver units that he has had the opportunity to play with at U, and I put the emphasis on I don't like Miami. One of the better units at wide receiver that he's had the opportunity to play with. That offense is going to be pretty good. But as I have mentioned a number of times, I also look at this team and think, when does Mario Cristobal screw it up for them? When does Mario Cristobal lose his mind? Last year, it was in that game against Georgia Tech. And we've talked about this at length. To me, and I mean this, it might be the most egregious and unforgivable football mistake I've ever seen. Like, there's plenty of others. There's, Georgia Tech blocking and returning the kick against Florida State. There's Michigan getting the punt blocked and picked up for a tutty in the Sparty upset win over Michigan. There's been plenty of oopsie daisies that have cost a team a game, like one mistake that you go, yeah, that outright lost you the game. That might be the worst one. That might be the worst one of all time. And that has been the Mario Cristobal narrative everywhere he's been. It was that way at Oregon. Now it's that way at Miami. So I don't trust Mario Cristobal. I think there are wild cards in this conference. I think Kevin Jennings, I'm not saying he will be, but he's got the talent to be a Heisman Trophy finalist at SMU. They've got, I think, some pretty good wide receivers, probably better wide receivers than they had last year at SMU. You got question marks about the run game where they lost their top two backs, and now they got four dudes that are going to have to figure it out. This is also a team that averaged over 36 points a game last year, and I think they might be better this year. I think they're in the mix. I think Louisville is in the mix, as I have mentioned a couple of times. There's a reason that Jeff Brom went out and got Miller Moss out of the portal from USC. Do you understand the effort that must be put in to get a kid to come to you from sunny SoCal to Louisville, Kentucky? The sales pitch that you must have put on that dude was ridiculous. There's a reason for that.
You've been to Louisville? It's not bad.
It ain't SoCal.
Well, I've been there.
It ain't sunny South California, which I have been to. And it's absolutely beautiful. The weather's always perfect. And the ladies, it's spectacular. So, with that being said.
You already said every woman in Kentucky is ugly.
Yes, that is what I said. I judged every woman in Kentucky. I married a girl with an accent for a reason, all right? I'm just saying. The ladies are pretty out in sunny Southern California, hey. So, all of that being said, there's a reason Jeff Brom went out and got Miller Moss. I do think the Louisville Cardinals are going to be involved this year. Then there's the wild cards, Florida State, the Pitt Panthers, the 9-win Duke Blue Devils, the Georgia Tech Ramblin' Wreck, and Bill Belichick's North Carolina Tar Heels. And you say all that not to forget that while you will not see them in the regular season, Dave Doran might be on the hot seat at NC State. And if NC State finds a way to shock and awe their way into the ACC title game, you know that, whether they will admit it or not. Dave Doran can't stand Dabo Swinney. It would be a highlight of his career to prevent Dabo from winning an ACC title if Dave Doran has anything to say about it. It is a deeper conference than anybody's given it credit for. I am not making the argument it is anywhere near the Southeastern Conference. I'm saying it's closer to the Big Ten than y'all want to give it credit for. That being said.
Nope.
It absolutely is. You don't have to like it, but it absolutely is.
You are incorrect, sir.
No, I'm really not. I know ball. I'm really not.
Okay. I mean, you could throw that out there, but you are so wrong.
I'm really not.
I mean, the ACC is Clemson. That's it. SMU second. After that, everything's a question mark. We hear all the time, well, this team's going to be good in the ACC. This team's good. In the ACC, they may be, but compared to every other conference just about, no, they're not.
Yes, because we all know Purdue, Northwestern, Rutgers, Maryland, Michigan State, UCLA, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and
all right,
you
throw that out there, and I think a lot of people would take those guys off of the majority of the ACC.
I don't know that I would say that. Now, all that being said, because we do have to make some picks here. I don't think either one of us is picking anybody but Clemson to win the thing. So the question mark is, how do you think the rest of the conference shakes up? I've looked at it. I've considered it. I've spun it around in the noggin a bunch of times. Hot take, Clemson versus Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game. That's how bought I am to the Rambling Wreck.
Okay, good for you. I'm going Clemson SMU in a rematch, and two sneaky teams for me. And you're going to laugh because you do, and I don't care. It's still North Carolina because I still believe in Belichick, and Florida State because I think they bounce back.
What's bounce back though? 8-4, 7-5,
9-3, enough to compete.
You think what week is Florida State mathematically eliminated from the conference championship game? 12, 9, 5,
somewhere near the end. They won't eliminate themselves. Somebody else will.
We'll see. I'm not.
I told you you'd laugh. I told you you'd make fun.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm just not there yet.
I mean, they've had one bad year.
It was not a bad year. It was a catastrophe. It was a catastrophic year for Florida State. I don't know. Florida State's got a lot of got a decent number of returners coming back on defense. They upgraded the wide receiver core. Deuce Robinson, I think, could be a stud. They got a cat named Squirrel.
There you go.
How's that guy not going to be a legend?
I mean, come on.
So with all of that being said, I'm going to go Clemson wins it. I have not been yanking the chain when I tell you. I think Georgia Tech's a fun, I think, good football team.
I mean, you never even considered SMU last year. I just want to point out that I did early on.
Sure, you're not wrong.
So now you're just you're moving them out of the equation now.
No, I'm just moving Georgia Tech into it.
All right.
I think SMU will be there. I just think Georgia Tech, and here's what it comes down to. Clemson has LSU to open, then Troy, then Georgia Tech in week 3. If Georgia Tech, at home, by the way, if Georgia Tech can make that a game, and I'm going to tell you right now, I am going to that game. Either as a fan or as a coverer, I will be at that game.
Coverer.
I would not be shocked. And I'm not doing it yet. I'm not pushing the upset alert yet. But I might by then. That might be an upset special for Rob Brown. I really think Georgia Tech's got something special this year. And if they've got the Brent Key mentality, that's a scary game for Clemson. That might be, honestly, and I mean this, Georgia Tech and at Louisville, to me, are the two scariest games on the schedule for the Clemson Tigers this year. Those games are both scary. Give me Clemson over Georgia Tech in the ACC title game. Here's your hot take. So SMU and Georgia Tech both make the playoffs this year. 3 teams go in. Clemson, SMU, Georgia Tech all going to the playoffs. That's how in I am. All right. We'll talk more about this. We'll make our Big 12 picks. And in the next hour, we'll break down how the ones we picked so far fit into the bracket. That's after Lonzo.
Do we really have to do Big 12 picks? How many people know who's in the Big 12?
I mean, I do. But, and you may or may not know this about me.
So you can name them all without looking.
No, I can name the ones that matter. I can name the ones that matter. And I will in the next hour. Sports Flash.
It's no laughing matter. The win streak stopped at 5 for the Atlanta Braves, dropping a 13-9 decision at home to the Chicago White Sox. Spencer Strider took his 11th loss of the year, giving up 10 hits and 7 earned runs through just 3 innings, including a pair of home runs. Atlanta had 15 hits, including home runs from Jurickson Profar and Michael Harris II. First Monday night football game of the year was the final preseason game of week 2. Bengals knocked off the Commanders 31-17. Joe Burrow completed 9 of 14 passes for 62 yards and a touchdown before giving way to Jake Browning, who completed 16 of 25 for 159 and a pair of scores. Ryan Day is named Julian Sayin as the Ohio State Buckeyes starting quarterback for their season opener against Texas next Saturday. Day said Sayin just edged out Lincoln Kleinholtz and that he earned the job over the last week of practice. keep meaning to look that up because I think he spelled that wrong, and I'm going to do that. I think there's an L in there. And by the way, Joe, my daughter said that Carson Beck looks like handsome Squidward. You should look it up because he looks like handsome Squidward. We be back.
Yeah! The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it's dead. I mean, like his career. So I'm fine with that. I just thought I would give it a shot. This one last hurrah.
Give my man a belt. All right. Put a belt back on him and let him take it to the moon.
You're 47. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Texture said, how many times have you used that line now that you are 40? The answer is not nearly enough. And I'm running out of time. It is August. I got till February to drop I'm a man, I'm 40 on as many people as I can.
Listen, going down Miller Road, the speed limit is 40. And when people don't do 40, I'm yelling, be a man, do 40. I mean, so I think it will forever live.
Oh, it's not good.
You'll find a way to use it is what I'm saying.
It has been 18 years since he dropped that on us. 18 years.
I think it's going to stick around.
Since he dropped I'm a man, I'm 40 on us.
Has it made it out of sports though?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if I don't know that it ever really made its way into the zeitgeist of pop culture where you had non-football people saying it, right? Like, I don't know where it comes from. I just think it's really funny. But I do know that in the sports world, it's been 18 years and we are still dropping I'm a man, I'm 40 on people. I turned 40 and I'm relatively sure it's the first thing I said when I turned 40. I haven't said it often enough that I'm a man, I'm 40. You want to come after somebody, come after me. I'm a man, I'm 40.
You are experiencing, as I warned you, and probably others have too, how quickly time goes once you hit that. So, I mean, this year is already almost gone.
Seriously, dude. New Year's Eve was last night. I don't know. It's wild that if you had a baby on the day that Mike Gundy said, I'm a man, I'm 40, that baby's going to college.
And could actually be playing for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike Gundy, if you had a kid the day Mike Gundy said, I'm a man, I'm 40, Mike Gundy's been recruiting your kid to come play for him for 2 years now. Ugh. Why do my knees hurt all of a sudden? And why am I suddenly very concerned that there's some damn kids on my lawn right now? Unbelievable. All right, we got more football stuff we need to talk about here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He's the great Alonzo. We are collectively very glad to have you here as we're talking a lot of college football. Let's talk a little NFL, though, very quickly. We wrapped up preseason week number 2 last night with the Washington Commanders, and the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't really want to talk anymore about that game. We already did back in hour number 1. If you missed it after the show, go to thefanupstate.com, where all 4 hours of the show are available for you to download and listen to on demand. You're welcome. Here's the question I'd like to ask. I don't want to ask you who's going to win all 8 divisions of the National Football League this year. And we'll next week, as we get it ever closer to week 1 of the NFL season, we'll do a lot more prognostication of divisional champs and wild card teams, etc. But we are still, as of today, 2 weeks and 2 days away from the Thursday night matchup on September 4th that will get us all started. Instead, what I would like to do is to ask you, who is in each division, who's the biggest threat to the team you think is going to win it? And I'd like to very quickly go division by division, spend just a couple of minutes on those. And we will extrapolate. I got a little frog caught in the throat right there.
Yeah, it was, yeah. You got to get that screen for tomorrow. That's all I'm saying.
That was both unsettling and gross. Let's start with the AFC East. I think at this point, pretty much everybody's picking Buffalo to repeat. Hot take. I think the Patriots challenge them a little bit, to be honest with you. And not win it. I think they'll probably get bounced around week 14. But I think the Patriots put a little pressure on the Bills this year.
So you don't think the Bills, I mean, they're going to decline at some point? You don't think this is the year? You think they're still on the top?
I think they're better this year than they were last year, to be honest with you. I think they're better this year in that it took them longer than it took me to realize, as you all saw in the playoffs last year. Give the ball to James Cook. He's really good at it. Like, he's real good. And James Cook is going to be featured this year, something that in the regular season last year, they didn't do a lot of, which I was very disappointed by. Late in the season, they started to, and they started to pick it up. But I think I'm in on the Patriots as a much better football team. Drake May was one of 2 quarterbacks last year, the other one being Bo Nix out in Denver, Colorado, that I owed an apology letter and an edible arrangements to at the end of the year because I did not see what those guys were going to be capable of doing. I know that Lonzo and I are both very in on Mike Vrabel, and I think the talent's gotten better. I think the Patriots are a wild card team this year. I can see them making the playoffs. Over in the AFC North, I think the belief is that, once again, that division will belong to the Baltimore Ravens. So who's the biggest threat to Baltimore? There's really 2 options. There's Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I think Pittsburgh's a bigger threat than the Bengals are. I want to be in on the Bengals because I am very concerned that while he did go to a Super Bowl as QB1 of Cincinnati has done nothing administratively except get worse since then. And I feel like we are watching a guy, and I mean it when I tell you, I think Joe Burrow is talented enough that he could, in the long run, be in the genuine, legitimate GOAT conversation. And I think we're watching prime years of his career be wasted by a team that just refuses to get better. And while I think offensively, Joe Burrow might throw for 5,000 yards this year. While I think offensively, Joe Burrow might throw for 45 touchdowns this year for the Bengals, I also think they're going to be giving up like 45 a game. And I think that's going to get real ugly for that football team. I think no team likely will give up more points per game than Cincinnati, and that locks them out. On the flip side, as much as I think the narrative is dumb and pointless, the Mike Tomlin no losing seasons thing still says that the Steelers are going to hang around. And I think, just listening to some of the interviews I've read from the guy, I listened to one the other day where Will Howard, the former OSU quarterback drafted by the Steelers, said that he is enjoying off-season work because Aaron Rodgers has apparently kind of taken to coaching the kid up a little bit. Howard told the story the other day about he was in shotgun. He ran a play. It didn't go the way he wanted to. Rodgers went over and was like, "Hey, kid, I don't want to overstep here. So if you don't want my advice, tell me." And Howard was like, "No, you're Aaron Rodgers. I want everything you got, man." I think Aaron Rodgers, unless I'm falling for a narrative, which I very well might, because I do think Aaron Rodgers is to some degree more entertainer than football player at this point in his career, unless he's just working a media narrative, which Aaron Rodgers has absolutely done before. It feels to me like Rodgers knows it is now or never. I don't think the Steelers are a threat to the Ravens. I think they're a bigger threat than the Bengals are in the AFC North. Oh,
I completely agree. The Bengals we saw last night, defense not getting any better. I know it's preseason, still not. It's bad. It's not good at all. And Pittsburgh historically has at least a decent defense, and they usually have a good running game. They've got good receivers. I mean, there's a guy named DK that's there right now who I hear is pretty good. And if Aaron Rodgers can play like he did at the end of the year last year, this entire season, they got a good shot at making the playoffs, even if it's just a wild card.
I think it's a possibility. I'm not there yet. Over in the AFC South, here's my I don't think this is a hot take. I've been told it's a hot take. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are winning the AFC South this year. I really do. I think you've already seen in the preseason.
How many people telling you it's a hot take would convince you that it's a hot take?
For the record, I haven't had anybody tell me it's a hot take yet.
Okay. All right.
And I've made this prediction on probably 6 or 7 different shows at this point. I got the Jags winning the AFC South. I think that the Texans and Titans are both in the back pocket. I think the Texans are a little bit better than the Titans. Here's what I'll say. I might have been wrong about Cam Ward. I said going into the draft, not a big Cam Ward guy. There's nothing coming out about this kid that I don't love right now. Nothing I don't love. He had a pass that he threw to Van Jefferson this past weekend that was a clear drop. I mean, he hit Jefferson right in the damn hands. Right in the hands. And after it was over, they were seen on the sideline with Cam Ward going up to Jefferson and being like, yo, what up? And it was like, all right, here comes the meltdown, right? Here comes the meltdown. And then after the game, somebody asked Cam what the conversation was. And Cam said, no, I didn't blame him. I went over there and asked him, what can I do better? Like, how can I make that a better football for you? Van Jefferson, it hit him in the hands, said to Cam Ward, oh, you put it out too far ahead of me. No, dude, it was in the hands. Not like diving, like in the run on the hands. And he said, so Cam Ward said, okay. He said, I told him, that's my bad. If I overthrew you, I'll get it right on the next one. Like, this kid it's preseason. This kid's impressing me a little bit. All that being said, I've already told you I think you're going to watch an accelerated version of the Carolina turnaround with Liam Cohen in Duval. Jax wins the division. Tennessee and Houston are right there in the back pocket.
Nah, Texans win that division. You can't. It would take a lot to convince me that the Jaguars are going to get back to playoff form. What's happened like once, right?
And they won a playoff game with it.
It was like one time. That was what, 4 years ago, 3 years ago? I don't know, something like that. You can't convince me. Well, you could convince me if we're halfway through the season and they're leading their division.
We'll find out. I'm in on the turnaround. I am. Over in the AFC West, calling the shot now.
Go ahead.
This might be the sneaky best division in football. It's either the AFC North or NFC North or AFC West. This might be the best division in football. I still think Kansas City's going to win this division. Yeah, I think the Broncos are going to be in the back pocket. I don't think that it's a sweat-free week 18 for Lonzo this year. I think there is a better than zero possibility that week 18 this year.
Man, I was sweating all last year.
But
look at how they won games last year and how they historically have been winning games barely. So the rest of that division has gotten better. The best coaching staffs probably in all of football are in the AFC West.
I think the Broncos in the back pocket of the Chiefs. I still think the Chiefs win it, but I think the Broncos are right there. And here's why it's sneaky. I think the Chargers are a better football team, and I think the Raiders are a better football team. And by the way, Ashton Janty, who I've been about in the NFL, Janty looked like a freaking bulldozer.
He did. He absolutely
looked like a bulldozer.
He absolutely did. It was preseason again, but if he does that in the regular season, that's going to be interesting. How many coaches in the AFC West will be in the NFL Hall of Fame?
Andy Reid obviously is going to be a Hall of Famer. Sean Payton, I think, is a Hall of Famer with the Super Bowl he got in New Orleans, Louisiana. Does Harbaugh need to win one? I think Harbaugh's got to win one.
He went to one. Some coaches don't actually get to make it there.
I agree.
And he has consistently been one of the best coaches in the NFL throughout his entire career.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But I think we can name a lot of pretty good coaches who didn't get one. I think he's got to get one.
And Pete Carroll's going. So Harbaugh would be the one question. You don't think Pete Carroll's going? He won a Super Bowl.
He did win a Super Bowl. That's right. I think you're probably right. I think Pete Carroll probably goes as an NFL coach. I think that's probably fair. Again, like, this might be sneaky best division in football. It's either the NFC North or it's the AFC West. And I do not think, and when I say sweat-free, I don't mean in terms of the games are closer or not. I mean, Kansas City may not have this thing wrapped up in week 18 this year. It may be a Kansas City has to win or Denver has to lose for Kansas City to claim the division this year.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. They're angry, they're hungry, and if they have to fight, it makes it sweeter when they make it.
We'll see.
I don't care for blowouts unless they're blowing out Buffalo. Then I'm okay with that. And Denver. If they beat Buffalo and Denver by like 30, 40 points, I'm probably pretty happy about that. But I don't expect that to happen.
I would think Kansas City wins the division, but I think they win it by like a game this year. Like, I think it's a week 18 sweat. for Kansas City. It could very well come down to.
You think 3 teams can make it to the playoffs out of the West?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs.
I wonder how round robin the wins losses are in that division, right? Like if Kansas City ends up 3-3 in that division, which is absolutely possible. If Kansas City ends up 3-3, I wonder if they don't hand each other enough losses that the third place team out of that division ends up missing the last wild card spot by a game.
You're saying it's going to look like the NFC South?
Yeah, but like the Bizarro World version of it.
Okay.
Right? I think they could hand each other enough losses that they keep somebody out themselves. Like they lock a third team of their own division out. I think Buffalo's going out of the East. I think the Patriots could be a wild card threat. I think Baltimore's going out of the North. I think Pittsburgh could be a wild card threat. Joe Burrow might be good enough to be able to carry that defenseless team, and I mean that literally, into the playoffs. But I think Baltimore's the only team out of the North. Out of the South, I think the Jags are going as champs. I think there's a very good chance the Texans are right there lockstep. They might go in. But as far as the West goes, the only team that and I think they are going to be much improved. The only team out of the West that I do not think is a playoff team yet is the Las Vegas Raiders. And there's a lot of people who do think they are wild card talent. We'll do the NFC on tomorrow's show. When we come back, a few more sports stories I want to run through. Then we will wrap up the show by selecting our winners and losers from the Big 12. Your thoughts are welcome. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE is the number to be a part of the show. Text it. We'll read them on the air. Call it. Jump on the air. The Rob Brown Show continues after this on the Fan Upstate. Stay right there, guys. We will be right back. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. I had already planned on it, but I am glad that Cole Bryson brought up what he brought up a minute ago. That being said, Scotty Scheffler ain't Tiger Woods. I do not disagree with Cole in that there is a lot that Scotty Scheffler would have to do to get himself into that conversation. But that's...
So there's no chance he could be better than Tiger Woods?
No, I do not think so.
No chance at all?
No, I mean, not no chance, but very improbable, I think. But here's the other part of it.
Well, if he can't be better than Tiger, he's not going to be better than Jack, the greatest of all time.
Sure, why not? I'm not having that fight because you're never going to change anybody's mind. What I will say is this. It wouldn't matter if he is or he is not, because realistically, you can't turn Scotty Scheffler into a star. And I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine the other day because we were trying to kind of nail down why it is that Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer on the planet, and a guy that in a circle of dudes that love golf, we don't talk about Scotty Scheffler the way that we've talked about other golfers. And by talk about, I mean talk about as frequently or despite the fact that he is very clearly the best in the world right now. We don't talk about him as often or as excitedly. And we came up with two reasons that is true. And those reasons, I think, also translate to the two primary reasons that you can't turn Scotty Scheffler into a superstar. Because if you can't get me and the fellas talking about Scotty Scheffler, who just became the first PGA Tour golfer since Tiger Woods in 2007 to claim 5 PGA Tour victories in a single season when he won the BMW Championship this past weekend. The reason you can't do it, I have come up with, is twofold. The first is because he doesn't want to be that. In order to have a star, I think you have to have a guy who is not adverse to being that, right? I'm not talking about he has to want to be a star. That makes it easier. It makes it easier when you got a guy who wants to be a star. And there are some people wired that way. I will keep it a buck. I am. I want to get rich and famous, for sure. But
why does he have to be a star? You can be the best that there ever was in the game and not be a superstar, not be known everywhere.
Because selfishly, I want the game of golf to go back to the period of growth that it showed when Tiger was at his prime. And Scotty is the closest we have had in a very long time to the early 2000s to late 20-teens. It's just actually not even late 20-teens, like early 2000s to mid 20-teens. It's the closest we've had. And as somebody who loves the game of golf, and as somebody who would love to get to where it was when I started my radio career, that golf was something that you talked about much more frequently than we do it now. Scotty Scheffler being a household name, like Tiger Woods was, would go a long way in that direction. So reason number one, Scotty doesn't want to be a star. In fact, I would make the argument, Scotty's adverse to it. He'll do some podcast interviews with guys he likes, whatever. But quick, when was the last time you saw Scotty Scheffler in a commercial? The last time I saw Scotty Scheffler on actual television, and he wasn't playing golf, his cameo in Happy Gilmore 2, which was awesome, by the way. But also, you know who else did that? Literally every other professional golfer was in that movie.
Yeah, but he got some special scenes.
Oh, he did. He was great. But here's the second thing, and this is the realization that I came to the other day. Scotty Scheffler is the best in the world for the same reason that you can't turn him into a star. Do you know what that is? It's because his game isn't exciting. He doesn't do anything that jumps off the page as wildly exciting. Yes, he will occasionally knock down an 82-foot chip, and that's electric. But if you watched the BMW Championship this weekend, that was it. That was really the only moment of electricity. The only electricity around Scotty Scheffler on Sunday was that he's just keeping himself alive, chipping away. He's not doing anything special. He's not doing anything that blows you off the page, right? He's not out there striping at 395. He's not out there consistently knocking down 25 and 30-foot birdies. Like, there's nothing about his game that's exciting. And it got me thinking back to a soundbite that I went back and found from a few months ago, and it is Tiger Woods talking about Scotty Scheffler.
For Scotty, I think that his iconic foot movement is belies what the club is actually doing, through the golf ball, how good it is, right? How stable it is, how solid he hits it. You just stand back and just watch ball flight. There's something different about his. It's just so consistent, and he works it both ways. Yeah, he goes both ways, and it's just a matter of if he putts, decent, he's going to win. If he putts great, he blows away fields. If he has a bad putting week, he contends. Right. So he's just that good a ball striker.
Yeah, that's it. There's nothing fascinating about his game. The most interesting thing, you heard Tiger Woods say it there. The most interesting thing about Scotty Scheffler's game is that his feet move weird when he swings, which once you've seen it 2 or 3 times and he's hitting the ball as pure as he hits the ball, that loses its intrigue. Like, it's not interesting anymore because he just does it all the time and it's great for him. And it's not a move that any of us can go out onto the golf course and imitate or emulate, right? We can all go out there and see if we can do the Happy Gilmore swing. We can all go out there and try to crush the golf ball into non-existence like Bryson DeChambeau does. You can't really imitate or emulate the Scotty Scheffler shuffle. Like, it's just a thing that happens. There's nothing about his game that stands out. He doesn't have a unique swing. He doesn't have a unique approach to the game. He doesn't have a unique mentality to the game. He doesn't talk differently than everyone else. He doesn't act differently than everyone else. When Tiger came out on Sunday and he wore that red polo, he had a look in his eyes that made him must-see TV. Scotty doesn't have that. Scotty doesn't go out there on Sundays looking like a damn killer. He just looks like a guy who's playing another round of golf. It just happens to be the best round of golf anybody's going to play that day. There's nothing exciting about Scotty Scheffler, he doesn't enhance it.
You want a sports entertainer?
No. I want somebody who becomes a household name.
So he should go out there and curse and throw his clubs and do stuff outside of, well, he already did something to get attention.
No, for me, kicking everybody's ass is good enough, but I'm already in the audience, right? My question is, as I've mentioned a couple of times, how do you get a world where my wife watches more than just the Masters? How do you create that world? And the answer is dramatics, personality, just like the NFL. Who are the players we talk about all the time? The ones that have personality.
And I think there are a couple of sports that have been striving to get more people into it that still will never die, no matter what. And that's golf and NASCAR. They never will die because there's enough true fans to keep those sports going. They may never grow, but I don't think they'll ever die.
You're totally right. You are totally right. There will always be NASCAR because people who are born into NASCAR are staying in NASCAR. But the question is, and I go back as I do with just about everything else. I make it all about me. I did not grow up a NASCAR fan. I was not a NASCAR guy growing up. Now I'm a big fan. And I became a big fan because a buddy of mine said, meet me at the bar. We're watching the race. I'll buy the beers. And I said, yep, absolutely. Then I showed up. Do you know why it was that I found a love of NASCAR? Because I watched Jeff Gordon existing infuriate a bunch of people at a bar. And all he did was get out of the car, flash $1 million smile, and just be like, Hey, man, great race for old Jeff Gordon in the 24 DuPont Chevrolet. Nothing special, but he infuriated people just by existing and having the personality he had. I became a fan because of that. John Dog texted the show and said, so consistently winning isn't good enough. It is. Let me answer you, John Dog, just like I answer Lonzo. For me, it is, but I grew up with golf. I grew up with a grandpa who played golf, with a father who played golf, with a brother and I who now play golf. Me and the boys play golf. For me, it's enough. For golf to grow, it's not. For golf to grow, Scotty Scheffler winning 5 times on tour, something no one has done since Tiger did it in 2007, which was 18 years ago. Same year Mike Gundy said, I'm a man, I'm 40. Big year for 2007 here on the show. For golf to grow, Scotty being a guy who wins 5 golf tournaments, no, it's not enough because there's no legend to him. There was a legend while Tiger Woods was doing it. There was a legend.
He got arrested and he come back and didn't he win that tournament? Or he did really well in it.
He did really well in it.
Yeah.
And even that, like, here's my thought, because you're not wrong. That in and of itself, remember the day that happened, Zoe? It stopped our show for hours.
Yes.
Right? And then what happened? It's a bunch of Prison Scotty jokes amongst golf fans. But, like, do you see anything else happening out there about it? Is he on ad campaigns? No. Is Nike pushing him? No. Is the PGA making a big fun joke out of it? No. The only time we have seen anything come out of that
he's an
was
ex-convict.
jokes in Happy Gilmore too.
He's an ex-convict. They probably don't, products don't want to push that or something. I don't know.
But that's the thing.
So you want him to be Dirty Dom. You want him to go to jail one day and come out and just become
I want
something
Scotty
else.
Scheffler to keep kicking everybody's ass because to me it's wildly entertaining. You know what else I want? I want my wife to go, hey, babe, I'm going to watch the tournament with you on Sunday because I want to see Scotty. The only guy right now that's got her feeling that way is Jordan Spieth because he's got a great ass. That's it. So, like, if you can't take Scotty and make him a thing, I don't know what to do.
So he should quit?
I don't know what to
retire?
do. Will y'all stop? For God's sake. All I said was you can't make him a star because he doesn't want to be a star, and he's got the most boring but beats everybody's ass game of all time. Doesn't do anything spectacular, just goes out there and wins. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Don't say never, Steven. Or James, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's unlikely to be duplicated. I don't disagree with that. But here's the thing. James, when Tiger Woods was being Tiger Woods at his peak, right? When Tiger Woods was just the best. Also, what a great profile picture. When Tiger Woods was at his best, James, guys lost because Tiger Woods was on the course with him. Guys lost because Tiger was intimidating and terrifying and in their head in a sport where the game's played the same without even having to look at the other guy. That's not how Scotty Scheffler works. He doesn't intimidate you into making mistakes. He just goes and plays so well that you can't keep up with him. And the reality is, unless you're already a golf fan, that's just not super entertaining unless you're already a golf guy. Why is Dale Sr. the NASCAR guy?
Mustache.
Is it because he was great? No. It's because Dale was the intimidator. When you got a rear view mirror full of black number 3, you knew somebody was getting messed up. Same with Tiger, not with Scotty.
Who won more championships, Scotty Scheffler or Dale Earnhardt? I don't know what you're doing with your water, man, but just turn that thing up and drink it all instead of going 25 sips.
She's like, can't you just hold it up and drink it until you're done? No. I'm itchy. I got sunburnt this weekend, and it's starting to come off.
Pour the water on your head. No, I will not, Steven.
I don't mind saying a dude's got a great ass if he's worked for it. Jordan Spieth's got a great ass. Good on him. I'd never wear anything but chubbies if I had that butt.
Chubbies? What's a chubby?
They're dude shorts line that are like 5-inch inseams and real tight.
Okay, that's a legitimate brand or
yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna look it up. I'll just take your word for it. Okay, I don't know why there's a video of someone slicing pizza with scissors, but it does work. I mean, it looks very effective.
I have seen that becoming a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
but here's the other thing I've noticed. Everybody who does that and says it's easier than a pizza cutter is using a pizza cutter wrong. You are not supposed to hold a pizza cutter like this and roll it with your thumb. You're supposed to hold it upside down like this. Try that and promise you it's easier.
Like reverse pumpkin carving?
No, like, so you hold it like this with a cutter down like this. We're going to pick our Big 12 champions here in just a moment from right now. But before we do that, a very solid thought came up during our break there, because we are live on our stream, as we are every morning from 6 till 10 a.m. here on the Fan Upstate, by going to the Fan Upstate on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitter, by going to the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. You are welcome to go behind the scenes. You can interact with Lonzo, myself, and the rest of the Armada during breaks, and sometimes, like right now, conversations that happen off the air because of the stream are brought on the air. So, James said in the chat, Tigers squashed golfers like Goldberg in WCW. It's never going to be duplicated. Now, I'm not going to say never, because as Lonzo points out all the time, the correct phrase is the GOAT so far, because you never know. I will say it is improbable that it will be duplicated. Now, the thought that led me to was this. When Tiger Woods was out there prowling the course on Sundays in that iconic red polo shirt, the Sunday Tiger outfit, an outfit so iconic in the world of sports that now if you show up in a red polo and black pants, we make jokes about you for wearing the Sunday Tiger. So when Tiger was out there, Tiger being out there made other guys make mistakes. Tiger making other people afraid of him on the golf course, being intimidated by him, made Tiger Woods the legend of Tiger Woods. Scottie Scheffler doesn't do that to anybody. In my opinion, he doesn't scare people into mistakes. Nobody looks and they go, I've got to go out there and do stuff I wouldn't ordinarily do to stay ahead of Scottie. You just don't see him coming until he's there.
Really quick. So the young golfers today, if they were playing when Tiger was playing, so you think they would be intimidated? Because there's
I watched Tiger Woods intimidate PGA legends.
So
yes,
that was them. They weren't used to that sort of thing. these guys all are used to that sort of thing. They probably wouldn't be intimidated.
If Tiger Woods was in his prime today, I absolutely believe that they would. He was different. It was the reason why we say that is because I honestly cannot think of another golfer that I would put on that aura, right? Like I can't. The comparison that I made during the break and I bring to the air now is this. If we go out in the streets and we just asked people, name a NASCAR driver. Who do you think is the guy that's getting named the most? Dale Earnhardt, Sr. Dale Earnhardt, Sr. And
Dick Trickle.
Great one. That would be my answer because it gives me an excuse to say Dick Trickle in public. It's a guy's name. You can't get mad at me. Relax. I think the answer is you're going to hear Dale Earnhardt most. Why is that? Because Dale Earnhardt on the track messed other guys up by being Dale Earnhardt. You have heard driver after driver after driver say, if you were in the lead and you got a rear view mirror full of black car with a white 3 painted on it, you knew something bad was coming at you. You knew something bad was fitting to happen to you. Dale Earnhardt was called the Intimidator. We enjoyed Dale Earnhardt not just because of his talent and ability, but because what he did to other people in the sport. Well, guess what? That was Tiger too, but it's not Scotty. Nobody looks at Scotty and goes, oh no. They just go, oh, he's 4 shots off. I just got to play good golf. And then the next thing you know, he's chipping in from 82 yards out on 17 to take a 2-stroke lead. And everybody goes, what the hell? Where did he come from?
So I was curious because you keep throwing Dale Earnhardt out. And if I recall, he didn't win as many races as you're trying to. I mean, Richard Petty has won more races than anybody ever in NASCAR. So would you compare Scotty Scheffler to Richard Petty?
Honestly, I don't think that's a bad comparison. Mild-mannered, not really loud and brash. The only thing that stood out about Richard Petty was what? That big-ass hat. That's it. The blue car
that and the winning.
And the big-ass hat.
And the winning.
But that's it. Even with all that winning, Richard Petty ain't Dale Earnhardt, right? Like, he's the guy that if you go talk to NASCAR fans and say, name me a driver, they know Dale Earnhardt. If I go out and talk to golf fans and say, name me a golfer, Scotty Scheffler just won his 5th tournament of the year. The only guy to do that besides Tiger is Scotty Scheffler right now. And if I went out and asked 100 dudes right now that aren't daily golf fans, name me a golfer, who are they naming? Tiger Woods. That's the point. You can't turn Scotty into that because he doesn't want to be it. He doesn't have that aura. He doesn't want it. It's fine. Doesn't need it. Still kicks a bunch of ass without it. But here's a text that says, I am in total agreement with you. He is an amazing golfer, but he's not bringing people to the sport. That's it. And this entire conversation is bracketed around you have an opportunity with one of the greatest golfers of our lifetime. Not GOAT, that's Eldrick or Jack. But you have an opportunity with one of the greatest of our lifetime right now, and 0 people are going, oh, I got to go see what this is all about.
All right,
that's it.
So tell me what he would have to do to get people to come.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter.
So in your mind, you don't have some certain thing. Well, if he was more of this, then more people would come in.
And I'll tell you why. Because if Scotty Scheffler changed anything about Scotty Scheffler, he's not winning the tournaments like he is right now. He is dialed in on being the best golfer on the planet. I don't want him to change a damn thing because I am having Sunday football was on and I flipped the channel to go watch Scotty Scheffler play golf. There's nothing he can, and let me emphasize this, or should do to change what he's doing. He just won his 5th tournament. If you're a golf guy, he's must-see TV. The only point that I'm making is you're not going to get him to be a superstar because, A, he doesn't want to be. I think Tiger was thrilled to be a superstar. He doesn't slap his name on the biggest golf video game the biggest golf franchise of anything of all time if he wasn't okay being a star. Still is to this day. Scotty doesn't want all that. He just wants to win golf tournaments and play with his kid. I respect it, honestly. But it just feels like golf is missing an opportunity right now. It just feels like I shouldn't even say miss an opportunity. Golf's not missing an opportunity. Golf doesn't have an opportunity. I mean, they have an opportunity to promote Scotty Scheffler. Hey, you want to see the best golfer on planet Earth? Come watch PGA Tour. You want to watch this guy do things? The thing it was with Scotty, it's not like he does things that are unreal, right? Like he doesn't move the golf ball like Phil Mickelson used to. He doesn't drive the golf ball like Bryson DeChambeau. He is not the best at anything. You know what he is? He's just consistently perfect. He just does the boring, bland thing right 100% of the time. That's it. He doesn't do anything special. He doesn't do anything better than anybody else. He just never bleeps it up. That's it. And you can't advertise he's perfect and boring to get people to show up, right? If you watch Scotty Scheffler play and you are not a golf fan, Scotty Scheffler's game is boring. But it's boring and perfect all the time. That's it. And you can't advertise that. There's no way to advertise that. Tiger went out there and he could outdrive everybody. Bryson goes out there, outdrives everybody. Phil could go out there and shape his shot with the golf ball in ways that nobody else could do. All these guys that became the few, the proud golfers that were able to transcend the game into becoming bigger than it. All of them had that thing. Ricky Fowler was the first guy to go out there and wear flat bill and neon pink shirts. Like they all had something that made them stand out. There is nothing that stands about Scotty Scheffler except the number of trophies. That's it. And America loves a winner for sure. But they love a winner who's entertaining, not just a winner. That's all there is to it. When Tom Brady was winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl, there was very little entertaining about Tom Brady. Like it was very little that was entertaining. He didn't jump off the page. He was just a boring guy who kicked everybody's ass all the time.
No, he was a cheater, and that made him entertaining to some people.
Absolutely.
Because it made people not like him, and then other people like him because he was getting away with it.
Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls, and the most tuned in America was to his entire career was not the 7 Super Bowls, it was the cheating scandal. That's exactly my point. Scotty Scheffler does nothing better than anybody else. He does everything bland and perfect, and that's real hard to come up with an ad slogan for.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time to find out what is Xing, and Rob will explain it to even those as simple as myself, so we'll understand why. The first thing that's Xing is Spencer Strider.
Spencer Strider is Xing because Spencer Strider needs to stop pitching now. He went out there last night. He took his 11th loss. He got his ass kicked by the White Sox, the second worst team in MLB, the worst team in the American League. He got hammered last night by Chicago. Now, we got to keep in mind, Spencer Strider just coming back from Tommy John. He ain't got the heat that he used to. That's not to say he can't get it back. The problem is Spencer Strider was a great pitcher because half his pitches were 101 miles an hour off the corner. He doesn't have the speed anymore. And more importantly, he doesn't have the control of movement over pitches to be able to do anything. You got 2 options. Shut him down, let him go rehab, and pray to the baseball gods that he gets his heat back for next year. Because if he doesn't, you're about to watch what coulda, shoulda, would have been one of the greatest Braves pitchers of all time become an absolute nobody. Or send him to the bullpen, make him a 1 or 2 inning reliever, let him be back. He stank out loud last night. There is 0 reason for him to go start another game this year. 0. None. Not a 9-0. None.
Seem really emotional about that one.
I almost said a bad word.
Well, I got you. We're good. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Naomi.
Naomi Xing because the now former women's world champion announced last night that the rumors are true. She is indeed pregnant. Big J got that work done. They are expecting their child. I believe she said she's 7 weeks pregnant. You know what else that means? That means she did like 7 matches while pregnant. But Naomi's stepping away. It's one of those things where, like, on one hand, I'm super happy for them. They seem over the moon about it. I think that's awesome. On the other hand, can you name me in the last 4 or 5 years a wrestler who walked away at a low, came back reinventing themselves, and went to the friggin' moon like Naomi has recently? Because there's only a couple.
Well, Cody, but that's about it. I mean, but he's the story of that. So I'm happy for them. Big deal. She had finally found that character that was her. That was it.
When she comes back, dude, it's going to be unreal.
But Becky did the same thing. Came back, and she was okay.
Yeah. Why? Because they took the hottest over gimmick in maybe the history of women's wrestling, and then they went, no, we're not going to do that again. It was too good.
Wow. I mean, I wish I could find something. Maybe this will calm me down. The next thing it's Xing is Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett is Xing. I actually don't know why Kenny Pickett's Xing, because somebody put some hand picks out there.
No, just because people are making fun of the Browns for taking Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
And the
Joe
fact,
Flacco got officially named QB1.
Right. That's why.
So that triggered it. Joe Flacco named QB1. And now the assumption is, with Shador getting the start in preseason game number 1, assumption I think is Shador's probably beating out Dylan Gabriel for QB2. Gabriel's going to be the emergency / practice squad QB, which would mean Kenny Pickett's got no job. That's my guess.
There's also this thing where people think Kenny Pickett's going to go to New Orleans. I'm not trying to bring the anger back to you or anything, but yeah. All right, one last one as we exit this day. Kevin Nash is Xing.
I don't know specifically why he's Xing.
Because of the list. That list. I sent you a list. The list is everywhere. Hollywood Reporter put out their top 10 wrestlers of all time.
Is he on it?
6.
Hell yeah. Big Daddy Diesel. Love Kevin Nash. Also, Kevin Nash roasts people on Twitter all the time, and it's incredible. All right. That's it for us. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, let's be honest, it's your own fault. Come back tomorrow. We will try all over again, and we might, maybe, even be better than we were today. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow for another edition of The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
You are killing me, sir. All right, let's see if you finally did it and got me in trouble.
All right, guys, got to do a bunch of stuff. Thanks for being here. You're all amazing people. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and retire, preferably in that order. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.
I don't know.